Dr. Jones, I'd be safer sleeping with a snake. I said, cut it out!
Wow, holy smoke! Crash landing!
Short round. Step on it.
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones, hold on to your potato.
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we typically do it in two parts, but this is a Hall Pass bonus episode. Jamie threw it out there because of what's coming out soon, Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. So we're flashing back to the 80s, and we're covering the one that I remember most as a kid. I feel like this one was on cable more than Raiders of the Lost Ark. And of course, I'm talking Temple of Doom, Short Round, Kate Capshaw, Willie screaming for most of the movie, and so much more. But before I talk about the heart ripping that maybe inspired Kano in Mortal Kombat, I'm going to introduce you to my partner in this sequel watching, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how are you?
I'm doing good, Doug. How are you doing?
Pretty good. It was good to watch this movie because it's funny when you're a kid and movies are on cable and they're just like, you're catching them whenever they come on. There's so many movies that I've watched really in my adulthood that I've watched from the beginning, and I don't remember watching it from front to back. So it is a joy, especially a movie of this caliber.
Yeah. I think out of all the Raider movies, I think this one, was on TV the most. And I agree with you. Like as a kid, this was my favorite movie. I probably seen this one. I mean, I've seen Raiders 1,000 times too, but I would probably say so this one the second most.
1,001 times.
1,001 times. Well, no, I said second most. So it'd be
second
99,
most.
Yeah.
999.
Yeah. But now watching, I haven't seen the whole thing in a long time. I have to say, and again, it's still a good movie, don't get me wrong, but I feel like this is the Return of the Jedi of the series. And maybe I haven't seen the third one in a while, but maybe I'll like the third one better than the second one now. There's a lot of things I did not like about this movie that I didn't realize, I guess. And I also feel that Kate Capshaw is like the Jar Jar Binks of Raiders. Like she wasn't needed and she was annoying throughout the whole movie.
I liked her. You know what's fascinating about her? You know who she's married to, obviously, right?
Of course.
Okay. So they married 7 years after this movie was done filming. So were they fooling around on set?
I would think
because she was married at the time, and I think he was married at the time.
Well, how do you think she got the job?
Oh,
I'm
shocked that she wasn't in more, because she really, honestly, like I know her screaming and the way she portrayed the character, very controversial to the fans of the series, but she is, I don't know, she has like a look that I feel like, oh, I've seen her, I guess probably just from seeing Temple of Doom so many times, but to see somebody in such a big movie in a role like this, like even like the Bond girls, every Bond girl is still in other things. It's not like it's a one-off, but for her it's sort of a one-off.
But it's funny when you watch her role, though. It's so stereotypical of what the stereotype of a woman is throughout this whole movie. She talks about her broken nail. She's screaming the whole time. She's basically a bumbling blonde. Like, I think they just overdid her character way too much, that she was just so annoying that I just couldn't wait for her to be off screen. And I know a lot of people also didn't like Short Round. To me, Short Round was the hero throughout the whole movie. If you take some of the things he does, if he doesn't do some of the things he does in this movie, Indiana Jones is dead and the franchise dies. Like he really was and I don't know why they never used him in another movie, because he was great. I thought he was great in this movie. I don't know why anyone thinks negative of him, but yeah.
Yeah, that makes no sense. And you know what's funny? When I was finished this one on Disney Plus, free plug Disney, come on. I thought the next one with Sean Connery, The Last Crusade, I really thought that one was like maybe like 92, 93. It was a wild, maybe that's why they didn't use Short Round. It's only 5 years later. And it's not like he was that much older. They should have used him. And you're right. That's what I love about these type of movies.
Well, don't forget, this movie takes place before Raiders.
I know it does. People are going to be mad because we're doing this on a sequel podcast. But
no, that does count. Listen, I think a prequel counts as a sequel, because wasn't Mad Max technically a prequel to Road Warrior?
Oh, was that?
I think so.
Well, it's Mad Max then the Road Warrior.
Yes, but I think one was the prequel. I don't know what. Maybe
Oh, really?
I don't know. Anyway, a prequel is a sequel. If it's
Okay.
made after, if it's the same characters and the same story universe, that counts. So
I'm all for
making
it.
I'm making that rule. So
I'm just that's good.
Okay.
You listeners, Jamie's address is. You can
there's my little beep. So good.
Yeah.
One thing I also didn't like in this movie, and to me, I felt like it's split in two different movies, right? I feel like the second half is definitely like an Indiana Jones. He's like a superhero in this movie. It's like he doesn't even play like the typical Indiana Jones, but the first half kind of drags a little bit. Like there's a lot of, and it's not like, again, I know like Raiders. To me, Raiders is one of the best movies of all time. Like I love the bad guys. It's very, as far-fetched as Raiders is, there's a lot of realistic with the Nazis and everything. So even the third one, this one is such a supernatural. It's a weird movie. Like if you take the three Indiana Jones, this one is just so different than the other two. Like 3 is very close to 1 in the way, just what they're doing, and but this one is just very bizarre for a sequel.
Yeah, it's basically the movie's put into like 2 acts. Because really, when you get to the part that you remember as a kid,
everybody does.
When they get to see the heart ripping,
yes.
When you get to that part, and we'll go through the whole movie from the beginning, but it's so funny when you get to that part, you think like, okay, this is a section of the movie, but really, that's the rest of the movie. From that point on until 10 minutes to go when they go back to the village, everything happens right there. All the action.
It happens right there, and it's nonstop. Where the first part of the movie, there's a lot of silliness, and I think again, Kate Capshaw is a big part of this, and it's just a lot of like nonsense and silly gags, and I think that's why the movie's like there's not a lot of action in the first part, and there's a lot of unnecessary scenes. I think that are just like, again, but once they get into the dungeons or the tunnels, the movie changes and it's like nonstop.
Yeah. No, so good. But so let's start from the beginning. So
let's start from the beginning.
So the beginning's awesome. Like even as so weird as the movie is, to see a movie start with like this big production number, like even just the scene probably took like a week or two just to film because all the different pieces that were involved in it.
See, so I love the first scene. It's very James Bondish kind of like the way he's dressed. They showed the number way too long. I felt like I was watching, and I know it takes place in the 30s, so I felt like I was watching a movie from 1930. With the old timey and dances and all that stuff, and it was like a little too long. But I feel like they should bring restaurants like that back.
Yeah.
Like, while you're eating, have a big production like that. Like, I know that was huge in the 30s. Like, why don't we have those kind of restaurants now?
Bring it back. Like in the Mask. I would go to the club in the Mask to sit there and watch 1994 Cameron Diaz.
Why did the Mask have a 1930s club like that?
I don't know. Was that movie? Remember, it was set in like I forget the name of the town. What was the name of the town? It was a No, I know, but it was like a fake town, but it was set in like a Miami-ish town. So maybe they have that in Miami? Maybe?
You think they have clubs like that in Miami?
I hope so. Oh, I've never been to Miami, but I would go to Miami just for that.
Do you know who the villain is in this scene? Where he's from?
No.
It's Mr. Tanaka from Bloodsport.
Really?
Oh, no, it's Bloodsport or Kickboxer? No, it's Bloodsport. Yeah, it's Mr. Tanaka from Bloodsport who teaches young Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah, Mr. Tanaka. I recognize his voice when he started talking, so yeah.
A cool scene. So here's a funny story. So my daughter wasn't going to sleep because we have problems with bedtime now. She's 4.5. So I go, you know what? She could watch this. I'm like, I watched this when I was young. I probably wasn't 4, but I'm like, whatever. And we're sitting there, and out of nowhere, when it hits the fan in this scene, and he lifts the like barbecue skewer and he throws that into his stomach, I'm like, yeah, I think that should be watched later. But no, the whole scene is so cool. The trickery, like Indiana Jones, it is very. I know. Last week I messed up when you played the theme, and I'm like, oh, it sounds like Superman. But isn't it very Clark Kent-esque? Like, I don't think he really needs glasses, but he's very nerdy when he's in like his.
Yeah, but he's also nerdy when he's a professor. like when he's that professor
yeah.
in the classroom, right? So he's that's what's cool about Indiana Jones, right? It's like he is like Clark Kent. Once he has the hat on, he's become Superman, and which is great. Is like he has that hat like have to come to him multiple times throughout this movie, like but yeah, I mean he's very Clark Kentish in this part. I mean he's playing himself, but first of all, before we even get to that whole scene, we're back to the singing part. That was the I think the worst dubbing I've ever seen. Her mouth when she was singing, because clearly she was not singing, and her mouth movement was not matching the words to the song.
I know. How did they get that wrong?
What I find amazing, and like I said, I've seen this movie 1,000 times. Watching it now, it's amazing how when you watch it for the first time and you watch it years ago, you think these special effects are amazing. The green screens in this movie are so awful. But when you're watching when it first comes out, it looks great. It looks amazing. Now you're so used to how movies are. I can't believe how many green screens they use for like every single scene.
Yeah, I know. Or even just the people falling. It was like just superimposed people falling off the cliff, and you see like Indy move, and the person basically goes through him, sort of.
Don't get me wrong with that cliff. The water in there, there's a scene in the water. It looks like a dried up stream. And then when they show people landing in there, it looks like an ocean when they're landing. It's literally like, but they showed the dried up stream at least 5 times. I told my wife, I'm like, they're really falling into this thing. There's like nothing there. Like, yeah. All right.
Oh my God, man.
So so the interaction like is totally Indiana Jones when they're trying to do the exchange, and the fact that they have does every table have that circle Lazy Susan thing?
I know. Maybe they do that. When you get to the club that night, or you reserve the table, it's like, are you going to be exchanging any like rare precious metals?
Yes, I would like to reserve a table with a Lazy Susan.
God, what about Susan? The guy that invented that, he must have hated his wife. Susan, can you just pass the goddamn potatoes? And she doesn't want to do it. So he's like, all right, I'm going to the shed. And he made that. And he says, yeah, it's for all those lazy people. Oh, what are you going to name it? Lazy Susan.
It's funny. I mean, I don't know how it came up, but that sounds like it's a perfect reason why it was made.
I think that'd be good.
I think that works.
Sorry if there's any Susans out there. There's really no new Susans being made.
And you know what? I think it's the perfect name because I don't think like Lazy Heather works.
No, it doesn't flow. Heathers work hard. Susans.
What about Lazy
Susan,
Karen?
Here's your 2 weeks.
Karen? I mean, there's a lot of, obviously Karen gets a bad rep now, the name. So it should have been a Lazy Karen. Just, it should have went from like forever Karen, no matter what it is, it's always going to be an issue with something.
Yeah.
Lazy Karen.
But Susan wants that. Now Susan's at the point that all the Susans would band together and they'd be like, hey guys, I know it's not good, but we're named after something.
Did you ever go to school with a Susan?
No.
I knew one Susan I worked with, but outside of that,
Susan.
I don't know any Susans.
Susan Wallman for the Yankees. That's like the only Susan I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, so Susan Sarandon, Susan,
okay.
But I mean, I wonder if the Lazy Susan destroyed anyone else named Susan after that.
yeah, you just couldn't name your kid Susan anymore. When you were getting ready to write that on the birth certificate, the nurse like peeked over and she's like,
sorry, you're not allowed.
Yeah. Lazy Susan, all the nicknames that your kid's gonna be called.
Okay.
And that is the origin of Lazy Susan.
There you go. There's your lesson for today. So this interaction was great. I mean, the fact that, first of all, what they're looking to get was, I guess, an urn. Was that what the bad guys like?
Yeah.
But to me, like, it looked like you easily could have faked whatever's in there. Like, how do they know that was really what was in there?
Exactly. Why couldn't he have had a fake? He could have paid somebody to sculpt something that looked just like, or molded something to be that. No.
Well, that was that was a little odd looking thing that he got, but still, like I was, and I like how they gave him coins first. Like they thought he literally was supposed to get diamonds, so they instead gave him coins, and they thought that like he's gonna be like, oh okay, when he's there for a diamond, and the diamond is like massive.
Yeah. I just think the thing with Harrison Ford in all the movies, like I would say obviously mostly like Han Solo and playing Indiana Jones, is just how cool he is. Every line he says is cool. Even like anytime Willie tries to like sort of like like make fun of him. Oh, I thought archaeologists are little old men who are living with their mommies, and he goes, "It's mummies." Just like really quick under his breath, and you're like, God, this guy's cool. No matter what he says in this movie.
They nailed it when they got him. And I know Tom Selleck was offered a job.
I've seen the screen test.
Yeah, so have I.
Selleck,
and you know what? There's no way they would have made a second one. I mean, like, Tom Selleck is funny and he's good at what he does. He's no Harrison Ford. And
what does he do? What's like a Tom Selleck like
Magnum
role?
PI?
Oh yeah, I guess so.
I mean, he was also in Friends. I mean, you had a recurring thing in Friends. Outside of that, yeah, I mean, I think he made a Western also. I forget the name of it.
I mean, Briscoe County or
yeah,
he had a recur. Yeah, there was like a bunch of those.
Yeah, so he's I think he's more of a TV guy. I think also he's a tall guy, he's a big guy. So I think he has a look. I mean, obviously he has that rugged look, but he can only like he's like one dimension. Like Harrison Ford is that straight, sarcastic guy that a lot of people can't play. I mean, he's just, and that's how he's literally Han Solo and Indiana Jones are almost the same exact character. No,
100%.
Don Juan, like they're always hitting on the ladies, has an answer for everything, is always sarcastic and always going for the big score. I mean, they're really the same exact person. I wonder if they are.
So I just noticed something. How about this? The fact that Tom Selleck screen tested for this, and if obviously
he was offered the job.
Oh, he was offered it. Okay.
But I think because of Magnum PI or something like that, he couldn't take it. But he was literally, that was their first choice.
Oh, okay. No, here's my thing. So Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, what do they look like? What are they dressed as?
Indiana Jones.
And what is Dale?
Well, this cartoon.
No, Dale is Indiana Jones. Chip is.
I don't know. This
Magnum
is my past. Is he? Oh, he wears a Hawaiian shirt, right?
Shirt. Yes. So do you think amazing. Whoever created that was a huge Tom Selleck fan? They're like, you know what? Magnum PI for one of them, and hey, you know what? He was offered Indiana Jones. I'm gonna make him look. That's their two characters.
Did that come out at the same time as the Indiana Jones Temple of Doom? I don't. It was past my. I don't remember watching it, but because that's too much of a coincidence. That it's Tom Selleck.
Well, they've been around since 1943, but the Rescue Rangers came out in 89.
When did Temple of Doom come out?
Oh, 84, I think.
Oh, okay. That is bizarre, though. Why would they do that? That's funny.
Very interesting that they would do
that. Does Magnum PI wear a leather jacket and hat at all, or no? No.
Maybe in the bedroom.
Okay. And, watching, I mean, Harrison Ford uses that whip a lot in this movie. I think more than any other movie or any of the Indiana Jones. He literally uses it almost in and he uses it jokingly, like when he grabs her and brings her. Like, he's so good that he knows how to use it gently
and not like kill someone. Like he murdered someone earlier with it.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, he's like, I can just use like the light option and just wrap her around the hips and pull her in when she clearly is mad in a way and wants to go back to Missouri. And he's like, I'm going to take you right here.
Listen, she's mad the whole movie, and she's still ready to sleep with him. Like she's been wanting to sleep with him the whole movie. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. So, but he's so like I don't like I get it. He to use a whip, but like the things he does in this movie with the whip, I feel like also there's times when it gets longer because he's able to move. Like when he swings and things, like that whip's not that long to swing across. It makes it look like it's like stretches, Or how does he easily unhooks it, like when he flips it.
I know he just twirls his arm. Yeah, I know.
Like with ease. And then the fact that I'm assuming it takes talent to use a whip like that. I would think the average person, if they try it, they're gonna whip themselves. It's like using nunchucks. Like nunchucks look so easy until you start swinging around, you're gonna hit yourself in the nuts. At some point, right? So I think, but when you see later, you see someone using his whip like it's nothing. I don't know if that can happen.
Yeah, I don't think somebody can pick it up. But here's one thing I want to know is when it comes to like Willie's character, obviously this is the first time they met, but it seems like just their chemistry, it's not like, or they just like are not soulmates, but they like hit it off so well because I love that they're like sort of flirting. And then within seconds, he has a knife in her ribs.
Oh, seconds. And what? So they're in Singapore, right?
Are they in Singapore? Yeah.
Well, everybody in the entire first scene is Asian, except for Willie and Harrison Ford. So why do they have an American as the star of their Singapore nightclub?
I don't know.
Okay.
And she's singing. Oh no, she is singing that's what I thought was terrible. That she was singing. It was in a different language until she says "anything goes" at the end.
Yes.
The last line is "anything goes." Right.
When I was watching it, I'm like, "Am I watching like the wrong version?" Because that's the only people talking is her singing right in the beginning. Like you hear nothing else, and I literally thought I was watching a wrong version. Yeah, it's again everybody, all the dancers are Asian except for her. So weird. Okay.
Oh my god! But no, this whole scene, the fact that Indiana Jones is like so smart, he can do all these things, but he drinks this drink when he's making this deal with a guy that's obviously a bad guy. And dude, the antidote, just the fact the whole antidote, I think that's so cool. I know it's been done in other movies, but just the sheer panic he has, and just watching him try to maneuver in like that panic state and like sweating.
Well, before we even get to that. How about the fact that he has one of his helpers on his adventures with him who lasts 5 seconds. So the guy says, "I've done many adventures with you."
Yeah.
He dies in 2 seconds in this scene. What did he possibly
his final words
do?
Are, "I go first." Indy.
I go first. I mean, but like, how good could this guy possibly be if he dies in 2 seconds in a scene that's really there's no danger in a scene. There's literally no danger in the scene, and the guy dies in 2 seconds. But every adventure Indiana Jones goes on, there's tons of danger. So the guy survived as danger everywhere, but in this nightclub, he lasts for 2 seconds.
Yeah. He had the gun underneath the thing. So he was working there for how long? Or did he just sneak in? Or did he have to like pose for a week to get hired? Or what was his
how do you plan that timing? Because what if like the conversation didn't get like first? What if they just started talking like BSing in the begining? Like before they even started the exchange, they just started talking about each other's families and what's going on. And this guy's standing there, with the tray, with the money, like, all right, come on, I gotta get back to work.
Yeah. But no, he gets shot. He's dead. And then Willie at this point, because the henchman, the main bad guy, he goes, "I don't care. You can kill her. I'll get myself another American or another blonde girl." And then at that point, she makes it even more chaotic. She throws the diamond. And then that's when Indy gets up and he throws like that meat javelin in that guy's stomach, which I'm like, holy shit.
Well, you know what? That might be one of the, listen, there's a lot of far-fetched things in this movie. That might be one of the biggest far-fetched things ever. That the fact that there's food on it and it's still able to go right through the guy. Perfect. Yeah. Listen, Indiana Jones is like MacGyver with action. No matter what situation he's in, he knows how to get out of it somehow. Whether it's breaking a mine car with your feet or stopping that or whatever it is, like he can figure. He's like a beautiful mind where he could see ahead and figure out how to get out of every single situation, no matter what. I mean, he's so useful. I mean, look at all the things he uses in this scene: balloons, a big a cylinder circle, the shish kebab. Like he's able to do everything. He's trained on everything.
What'd you think of the balloons during the fight scene? That was kind of weird.
But you know what? It worked.
I know it definitely worked for him. And I was trying to think of this. Remember when I threw a javelin when we did that Spartan race? How hard it is to throw a javelin? He threw one with meat on it.
I thought I said
like a laser.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, when we threw the javelin in a Spartan race, I mean, it was like more like Lamar's from Revenge of the Nerds. Like, it was more like a floppy javelin. Like this had weight on it. So maybe because of the weight of the meat gives it a little more of a, dynamic, aerial throw, I guess, but yeah. I mean, perfect throw. And then the diamond lands in a bucket of ice falls over the floor. The diamond lands in there. Does the size of that diamond is huge? Does it really look like ice cubes that she couldn't figure out? Like she's like searching around like she's blind, searching through all the ice cubes that are, I think, square. And she's looking for this massive diamond that looked like the one for the Pink Panther.
I know. She was panicking like crazy.
She
You know,
was.
Her life was probably great until he showed up. Like,
Well,
everything
she
was
says
good.
that.
I
She
know
says that
does,
later
yeah.
in the movie. But okay, here's another like female trope. She's obsessed with diamonds throughout the whole movie. Like
Yeah.
even at the worst times of one of her panic screams, you mention the word diamond, her ears perk up and she's all ready. Like it's
Yeah.
like the role she's playing, I don't know. It was just, to me, she's totally Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah. Did you catch the name of the nightclub?
I did not.
Ooh. So here's a clip, and then I'll pause it so you can see that it's a very blurry clip, but this is where we meet Short Round for the first time. It's Club Obi-Wan.
Wow, holy smoke! Crash landing!
Short round. Step on it.
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones, hold on to your potatoes! Crying out!
So good, man. I don't know how
Obi-Wan, that's
anybody
awesome.
cannot like it.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
And Jamie caught that when we were watching it. She was like, look, it says Obi-Wan. I'm like, oh my God. So I was looking out for more of those in the movie.
Yeah.
I couldn't see any other ones. I'm sure there's a list, but
I was
think
saying,
it's
I bet you
pretty
if you
neat.
look it up, you'll find more that we totally missed.
George
So-
Lucas wrote the story, and then somebody else wrote two people wrote the script.
Yep.
He was probably like, just put Obi-Wan in there. Or maybe Spielberg's like, hey, here's a little one for you, buddy.
That's
We put
awesome.
Obi-Wan as the club. But
That's
so
awesome.
neat, man.
So in this movie, he uses Short Round a lot. It like the kid is what? How old is he in this movie? He's got to be like 10, 12. Like, I mean, like
I don't even think he's that. Is
not
he
even that old, right? So that's the best he could find. Is like for his it's like. I mean, well, actually, it probably is because the other guy died in 2 seconds. That was also with him.
Yeah.
I mean, Short Round lasts the entire movie, goes through some major stuff, doesn't die, and again, his other guy that went on many adventures dies in 2 seconds.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Short Round has no fear. There's some of the things he does, and I know obviously it's probably like a smaller stuntman, or they do just camera tricks to make the person look smaller.
Yep.
It's probably like a normal sized person, but there's some of the things I'm like, holy shit, man! Within seconds, he's like,
he's
"Oh, I'll
literally
be up there."
he's a mini Indiana Jones in this movie. That's
Yeah.
why, like, he really like. It would have been great to see him in other, like, even in the Crystal Skull, or whatever. That was horrible. They should have had him.
Yeah.
Like, instead of Shia LaBeouf or whatever. Like, I just think he was such an Indiana Jones in this movie. Like I said, I think he was the hero because the things he does in this movie stop so many things from happening that without him, it would be a different ending.
Yeah, and Willie saves them a few times too. And I think that's what I love about movies like that. You have this hero that is like so badass, they can do everything, but they need help along the way. And that's what I love about these movies, because it's like it makes those people human. Even though he does superhuman things, he's a human that needs help.
Correct. But why? And this was one of the biggest questions I had in the whole movie. After they escape, what's the point of having Willie with him the rest of the movie? Like, why is he taking Willie with him anywhere? Like, once they escape, they should have said, adios and go. But no, she was useless. I mean, even though she saves them, with the bugs and all that stuff, she pretty much is useless most of the movie.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe because that guy's such a evil bad guy that she was screwed. She wasn't going to be able to get out of the country. So maybe Indy was like, hey, I'll take you with me. And dude, the fact that how bad Short Round's driving, and you have Indy firing the gun, and I love that it falls into her lap, and because it's so hot, she throws it out the window.
Okay. That was, first of all, you just said how bad he's driving. He has blocks on his feet for the.
Oh, I love it. I know.
For the brake and gas. So that's it. Yeah. I mean, the fact that first of all, why would Indy give her the gun? I mean, that was his first mistake. Like, she looked like she's never touched the gun, obviously. And the fact that in seconds she tosses it, I thought it was pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
That was really funny. And you know what's really funny? Who is in this movie? Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd. Yeah.
For 5 seconds?
5 seconds.
So
and you don't really see him though, right? Like, he's kind of in the background. Like,
oh yeah, he's walking up, and I think he mentioned something about the flight.
The plane.
I think that's all. Yeah, that's all. And then he's gone, and I'm like, oh my God, because it's funny, if you look at IMDb, he's like in like the top 10 when you look. I don't know how they do that. I don't know if they base it on the way the credits run on the movie itself. But I'm like, oh, Dan Aykroyd's in this. I don't remember that. And then it's like, oh, I know.
You
why
recognize that voice. Yeah. No, that's funny. But okay, so this plane scene,
Oh,
to
dude,
me
I have
makes
so many
absolutely
notes
no.
about this.
Okay,
I know.
okay.
Bad
The-
guys again.
Well, all of them, even Tanaka. Like, so his plan, obviously, he's laughing when Indy's all sarcastic. He's like, I got the escape plane. I'm leaving now. Goodbye, Tanaka. And Tanaka's laughing because he owns the plane. So his plan is to destroy the plane.
I know.
Like that, and they're all fall asleep on this plane. Why don't they just shoot him instead of destroying the plane? They would have saved the plane and throw their bodies out. Not only that, the bad guys jump out of the plane in the middle of nowhere, like in mountains. Like, and what are they transporting besides chickens? There's whole chickens in that. Like, I mean, like, this is Tanaka. The guy's a rich gangster, and he has a bunch of chickens flying around in the plane.
Maybe it's like the chickens are the cover and it's really like cocaine in there or some other thing. But I did the same thing. And you know what's funny? At first, I thought that there was more people on the plane. And I was like, oh, did we just forget about the other people? But you're right. When you see the pilot and everyone kind of like tiptoe out and walk past them while they're sleeping, I'm like, why not? Maybe if they wanted it for the news, so they wouldn't maybe like to not
plane crash.
Yeah, and that's how he died. Maybe that's what he wanted to do instead of like being blamed for it. Because maybe everybody knew the great Indiana Jones, Dr. Jones was on there. But why not shoot them and then make it crash? Why give them an opportunity to fly the plane?
Well, I mean, they couldn't fly the plane because there's no gas in the plane. So they,
they did get.
Yeah, that was something. I mean, listen, this whole scene is ridiculous. I mean, how they escape is ridiculous, but but why waste? Listen, a guy like Tanaka, I don't think he cares about killing anybody, and it's not. I'm sure it's not listen, he literally killed someone in the middle of his nightclub, so I don't think he's.
And nobody
I don't
knows,
think he's
really
right. No, listen, in that whole nightclub scene, even when the shooting and Indiana running around, the background dancers were dancing the entire time. They didn't stop once. So, yeah, I mean, clearly everybody's oblivious. So I don't think he cares about that. So, I mean, easily they could have shot all three of them, dumped their bodies in the mountains. No one would have ever found them. No, let's jump out. So they're probably died because it's snowy. They probably landed in the middle of mountains and probably had an avalanche and died. And now you give them a chance to live. And listen, bad guys do this in every movie. They always leave it open for them one chance. It might be a far-fetched chance, but they have a chance to survive.
But if you told those bad guys, it's like, Indiana Jones survived. And it's like, oh my God, but here's how he survived. And just playing it back, if there was like a hidden camera to see all this stuff, the fact that his plan, because when they went out of gas, was to use like the inflatable boat and just how insane that is. And you're talking about like the effects, like back in the day, you'd see like the plane crash. Did you notice when it crashed? There's no mark on the on the snow.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? But okay. So as again, we know this movie's so far fetched and everything else, but that's how cool Indiana Jones is. Like, okay, he's able to find a way out so quickly in every single scene. You're on a plane that's running out of gas and about to crash. There's gonna be panic. Like you think you're going to be able, you're going to devise a plan. You're really not going to have any idea. His first thing is like, all right, let's get the inflatable boat. Like right away. Yeah. Like there was no hesitation. And Short Round didn't even seem nervous. He's like, all right, lady, hang on. Like that's what he says to her the whole time. Like no scare at all. And I wonder, like, do you think something like that can happen? Like float down on an inflatable raft?
I don't know, but I would love. I haven't seen all of them, but when that one show Mythbusters was on, they had Hollywood editions. I wonder if they did that one because that was insane. And I love this scene has been spoofed so many times. Like even the way in Black Sheep when Chris Farley falls down and he grabs the little root, it's almost the same thing because when they land and stop for a second and he goes, "That wasn't so bad, was it?" And they fly off the cliff.
Which that cliff was like so high, like ridiculous.
Oh my God, dude.
But I'm gonna say it wouldn't work because if you ever gone down like sledding on snow, like one of those inflatable things, and you go off a jump and you land, it hurts.
Oof. Oh my God!
Right,
you fly right off of it.
You fly right off, and it hurts. So they were flying for a long time, and so the landing on the snow would have hurt a lot. So I'm gonna say that probably would not work. And even if it did. There's no way they're landing softly on that in the water. And if they did, I'm assuming like the raft would like pop.
Yeah, and all their bones would break. And I love Willie. She goes, "I hate water.
Oh,
Being wet."
the entire movie, the whole movie, the way she says Indy throughout the whole movie is just like,
Indy.
Yeah.
It's like he's like a husband that's in trouble or a son that's in trouble. At
always. It's like, again, it's like your nails on a chalkboard every time she yells Indy. It's just like nonstop. You got an 8-year-old right next to you who never really screams.
I
And,
know.
whoa, I
Never.
shouldn't say that. He screams everything he says because
Yeah.
he's always yelling, but he's not screaming in fear, where she's just nonstop. So, okay.
That's how he learned his English, I guess. Was like from somebody that screamed.
So he learned English in like an Italian house eating dinner?
Yeah, or it was like Sam Kinison teaches English.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Okay.
I wonder, I gotta Google this real quick. So I want to see if there's who else was considered for the role of Willie in Temple of Doom. Like who else?
Well,
like in that time, like 80, who else would have been? I'm trying to think of somebody that's blonde around.
Not
that
for
time.
nothing. They should have had what's her face from the first movie. I mean, because they obviously knew each other. They knew each other from the when in Raiders of the Lost Ark. They had a past, so they should have used something with their past. They should have used her. And I'm not faulting Kate Capshaw. Because it's not that that's the role they gave her. So no matter who you put in that role, they would have demanded screaming throughout the whole thing. So I don't think it would have made a difference who you would have put there.
Yeah. Man, there's nothing. Oh, Sharon Stone auditioned. She was young then. She probably just didn't have any.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really it. There's nobody else on here. No, that's the Deborah Winger in the first one was considered, but that's really it.
No, she
nobody
was.
Else.
What's her name? Karen. Is it Karen? Who's
Karen
who's
Allen? Right? What's
Karen
her
Allen.
name?
Oh, she the first for the first one, right? Karen Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was great. I mean, like she should have been in the second one. That to me would have been great to show their connection the second one, and why she hated him so much. Like they could have built that, So okay.
Animal House. She's one of the underrated, like most beautiful women. She is just she's so cool. Like in Scrooge, she's not in enough.
No,
she wasn't in enough.
Isn't she dead? No, she's alive because she was in.
She was acting with William Sadler a few years ago and something.
She was in Crystal Skull. I forgot. Okay.
Oh,
I wonder if
she's
gonna. Oh yeah, cool. I think so. So I wonder if she'll be in the new one.
Oh, that'd be cool. A little throwback. Cool. Have her been in it? Who's still alive? That'd be cool.
Yep. So
little Willie cameo.
Little Willie.
Dr. Jones.
Little Willie. Yeah, you're gonna talk all night. Yeah. Doesn't he say something like that later on to her? Like when he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna go check on my Willie," or something like that, or
yeah.
So so they finally make it downstream, to go off a huge waterfall, ridiculous, and then they're okay, and then they meet Albert Einstein of India. The guy looked like Albert Einstein, right?
Yeah.
And did you notice how he introduced Short Round?
No, what'd he say?
He said Mr. Round.
So
is Short Round is his last name Round?
This is Mr. Cop. This is RoboCop all over again.
And I thought of that right away.
Round.
He said Mr. Round. So like, is that his? And first of all, Round I think is it was used in a derogatory way for Asians. I think like
no,
other things. Round.
It was an Asian call. Round.
Okay.
So I don't know why he's called Short Round because Short Round would be like Eric Cartman, right? A little fat kid,
right? So why use like a derogatory that they would use towards Americans? Why use it as his last name? Made no sense. But the fact that he called him Mr. Round, stupid. And does Indiana Jones know every single language that's out there? Because he seems to understand everybody, no matter where he goes, he can speak their language.
I think it has to be in his line of work. I think it's a given. You can't go somewhere and be like, I don't understand you.
But this is like a tribal community. This is not like, like I'm assuming they have their own language because they're off the grid, So the fact that he knows their tribal language like right away is pretty impressive.
But luckily somebody in the village does speak English.
Oh, of course they do.
They have to. They need to have somebody be that representative just in case Dr. Jones visits it. But I love that everyone they're like gods because they know of him, so they know obviously he can help out with the stone and with the 3 lines on it.
Why would they know of him? There's no TVs there. There's no radios. They have nothing there. They have nothing. They look like they live in huts. So how would they know who he is?
They travel to Delhi, or somebody travels to a main city that must know of him. Maybe when the stone was taken, they somehow got word of who Indiana. Somehow it was like they prayed because that's what they said.
Well, they did pray.
We knew you were gonna come,
but did they mean we knew like you, meaning like our savior's gonna come, or they knew Indiana Jones was gonna come? Like I don't know if they knew him. They just knew their hero's gonna come.
Oh, okay.
That's how I took it. Because again,
that's true.
There's no way they would know who Indiana Jones is.
Maybe they put the inflatable boat on there. They planned everything out. They had everything
to get him to. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
They told the bad guys, don't kill him. Tanaka says he doesn't want blood on the plane. Just jump out, and then boom, the rest is history.
Well, what I also don't understand is they landed on such a snowy filled area.
Yes.
There's no snow the rest of the movie. Like they literally, how long were they on that river that they got past the snow to like a hot, and literally it was like everybody's wearing t-shirts and like dresses and like, it's like desert area. Like no snow at all.
Yeah, no, I know. Even if they were like on the tallest mountain and there was snow, they were on snow all the way.
Oh, on the ground. It was on the ground. Yeah,
I know. So yeah, no, I don't know. They must have been sleeping for a long time in that boat that they were able to get to that guy. But that whole scene when they're like treating them like gods and giving them all the food, and Willie doesn't want to eat it. She's like, "Oh no, I'm not hungry."
Okay, the food in this movie from the town. To the like that should always be insulting to like the people of India because or where are they? Are they in India? They're in India, right? Or Nepal or okay. So it's gotta be insulting because they didn't in both the tribe area and in the castle, there wasn't one normal thing to eat.
I know. Not like mac and cheese or even bread. Nothing.
Wait, mac and cheese is the first thing you came up with? You think so? Not like they would have a chicken or a steak. No. Like the fact that they don't have mac and cheese. Now you know it's something ridiculous.
Then you know, whoa, come on, guys. The snake inside of a snake. Snakes inside of a snake.
Okay, we're not there yet. But how do they even get him in there?
Well, no, it's not that they got him in there. They got a pregnant snake and
those are eels. Those are eels.
Oh, there were eels inside of it? Oh.
That they look like. They didn't look like snakes.
Then they opened the dead snake's mouth and stuffed it in, I guess.
Well, it's probably the same way the piranha got inside the body.
That is true.
Okay.
Oh my God, man.
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
No, I was going to say, so they need help to find this stone because without someone stole the stone and there's a drought in the camp, and my thing is they seemed more concerned about the stone than the missing children that were in the camp, because I don't even know if they even mentioned the children once, did they, or no?
They did. That's how Indy knew about it later, because they did mention that the kids were being taken, but they didn't mention like how many. And then obviously later in the movie when we see how many children.
Okay, there looks like there's way too many children for the amount of adults that are in that camp area. There's no way there's enough parents.
I don't think all those kids underground are just for that village.
Well, they all ran to the same town.
Sure.
And as bad guys, if you have the choice to take children that look like they're 10 and under or adults to work in your mine, wouldn't you take them adults? Why are they taking kids? Like, how strong can they really be to hit these rocks, to break open the rocks, to look for the
I know,
stones?
it would take forever. You get an adult. Right. An adult can do like 3 kids' work.
Right. ridiculous. So, but yeah, but the fact that they really they don't seem concerned at all that their children were kidnapped and working as slaves. They're more concerned about the stone.
Yeah, well, I think they think in their religion, they think it's the stone. The stone is what caused all of this, the drought, the children missing.
So if they bring the stone back, all of a sudden the children are going to show up, which I guess does happen.
Kind of, even though that's not how it really worked, it did in their mind. They're going to think like, oh my God, it was a stone the whole time. Not Indiana Jones and Short Round and Willie going down. And no, it was
so these people, that stone is probably just like a regular stone that you could get at a gift shop. And they think it has all this powers because of the timing of everything. They think that stone has so much power, and they're praying to the stone that really is nothing. It probably has like made in China underneath it, that they got in the gift shop. All right,
and they're like, "Yeah, this is everything." Oh my God! But he knew about it. He's seen stones similar to it, so like, okay. And how about the one boy that came back? So that was what was really freaky.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, dude. He was like sort of like You know what the saddest part about this movie is? And nothing against the people that made the movie, because you have to film it there and you have to make it be real. But those are probably really people that were malnutritioned.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my God, dude. That kid looked horrible. His bony face, you could see his ribs so bad. I'm like, oh.
Well, okay. So first of all, this movie, I could be wrong, but I think this movie is the reason why they brought in the PG-13. Like after this movie, because of the dark tones for PG, the violence, the violence against kids in this. I mean, there's tons of that. I think this movie stirred like we need something between PG and R. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive this is the start of it. Like this is the reason why. But okay, so it took them like 2 days to get to that castle. How did the kid get there?
You're right.
And he, like you said, you were right. Like, kid looked like he hasn't eaten or drank anything in days. He wouldn't have survived. And not only that, think about all the dangerous animals that were that they came across when they were just camping.
Oh my God.
So this kid somehow escaped and got there. Okay. And then just happened to pass out the minute he got there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw in the news, those 4 kids just like from the age of 13 to like 4 years old survived 40 days in the Amazon.
Yeah.
They survived a plane crash. But you're right. So, you know what's crazy? 2 Steven Spielberg movies. Temple of Doom, and the other, it's so funny, the 2 movies I showed my daughter this week, and Gremlins.
And Gremlins is PG,
movies.
by the way.
Yeah.
Which,
so
to
those
me,
are the 2.
it might even be more violent than this movie. I mean, so like,
Yeah, like that kitchen scene is like pretty rough. But yeah, it says Steven Spielberg himself suggested the PG-13 label as a stepping stone between PG and R.
See? So I think between this and Gremlins is what started the PG-13. Because I think in those terms, I think these 2 movies should have been PG-13 based on just the violence and everything else. So, which, it's funny, I know a lot of parents were like complaining it was like too violent for kids or like it was too much violence on kids. I never even thought about that. When I watched this as a kid, I didn't look at it like violence on kids. I was like, all right, the bad guys, they kidnap these kids. And like, like I didn't see it as violence against kids. I don't think kids would have noticed that. They're just looking at the action, so, but yeah. Okay. So here's another question I have. So they recruit them to get these stones and Indy goes, they take probably the slowest form of transportation possible. They were riding these elephants that were moving slower than the people walking.
I know.
I like. So what's the purpose of taking an elephant? If you could walk the same speed, if not faster than the elephant's walking, and how dangerous? Like, she clearly did. I mean, she was riding the elephant backwards the entire because she couldn't get up there. But like,
I love that they sent her off like that. She was on it normal and then spun a little bit, and they're like, "All right, get out of here, white lady." They pushed her away.
There's no like reins or anything on these elephants. There's no saddle. So like, is that safe? Is that safe? But like, how slow they moved. They easily could have walked and got there in half a time. Maybe they wouldn't have to stay in the jungle that night.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have any horses. Like, they're in a jungle. They only have elephants. They don't have any horses at all.
No, they did not. I love that there was a little one for there's a baby elephant for sure.
Yes, they just
At
happened.
first there wasn't, because at first we saw Willie going backwards and Indy and Short Round were on the same elephant. And then the next scene, the next cut when they were doing like the little montage, Short Round had his own.
They just happened to have one just for smaller people.
Yeah. There's a lot of they used to have a bunch of them for the kids in the village, but now there's no kids. So
Okay.
they got more than enough.
All right. I guess so, but all right.
Oh
So,
my
okay.
God.
So they're traveling and Willie's pouring perfume on her elephant.
Because it smells. Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously it probably irritated its skin.
Oh, clearly.
So then of course it squirted with the water.
But did she think that the elephant was huge? She thought, and her bottle of perfume was the tiniest thing ever. Like it wasn't even it was like, I mean, it was so small. Did she think that was going to make a difference in the jungle, pouring a little perfume on his elephant?
In her mind, for some reason, yeah.
Okay.
And I just love that the fact as soon as it hit his head, or her, as soon as it hit the elephant's head, within seconds it was like, "F you, lady." I love that.
And okay, and the rest of the scene just drove me nuts. Like I feel like it's
the Jungle Book. Oh, dude, it's like watching. It's watching The Zookeeper with Kevin James. It's
yes,
so silly.
Because the fact that she literally ran into every animal that you could possibly run into in the jungle outside of a tiger, she ran into, and so they made it look like, because Short Round and Indiana Jones are sitting around like a campfire, just sitting there, and she's wearing like a potato sack, which they just happen to have a potato sack that she could wear, because it literally had the arms around, like it looked ridiculous. But so she's wearing a potato sack, and each direction she ran in was another animal that basically surrounded them while they're sitting down, laying down at the campfire. Like, is Indiana Jones and Short Round not nervous at all that the minute they close their eyes that they're going to get eaten? I mean,
I would be, because even when she's like a little panicky during the first part after the giant bat that like is like bigger than her body. After that, when she's like started fumbling around behind them when they're having their conversation of who's cheating who and you big cheater, I little man, but you big man, big cheater. But the fact that when he looks at her and you hear that roar, you hear like the growling, and he doesn't flinch, and she's hearing every sound to us as the audience is so loud.
Oh, it's so well. First of all, the sound effects in this movie are so like, I mean, every punch you hear, the like, I mean, it's so loud. But the fact that every time she ran in another direction was another animal. At what point do you think she should stop and say, you know what, I'm going to stand next to Indy, who has a gun and a whip, instead of running back and forth deeper into the woods? Which actually, she doesn't even run deep at all. It's like 3 steps and like there's another animal waiting for her. It was almost like Pee Wee Herman when he turns the light on and all the animals are around. That's basically where she was at. So stupid.
I want to know, are there owls in India? That was like the only animal that like really, there might be. But it was so funny, you're seeing this giant owl when she runs away, and then it's just like it lands right in front of her.
Yeah. And I have a question about the card game. And this happened, you see this a lot, I guess, in the Old West, that people like hide cards in their sleeve. Is it easy to get a card in your sleeve when you're playing right across from somebody?
I would think you'd have to know what deck you're using. I don't know if they're grabbing it when they're shuffling. They probably have to know what color.
But even so, like you have to aim it,
put the ace
and you have to shove it in. It's not like you could like. To me, isn't it just so much easier? If they're playing in the woods, just drop it on the floor and like put your knee over it. Like it's like an easier way to hide. Like to me, slide it in your sleeve, and they do this in all the Old West. Like they always find out, oh, you're cheating. They pull out the card from their sleeve. But like I feel like that's hard to sneak if you're sitting right across.
How are you gonna grab it?
Yeah, how do you grab it? Yeah. When you need it, how are you supposed to? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like if you have a long sleeve and it gets stuck a little bit, and you're like, "Oh my god, I got an itch," and you're like shaking over and over again.
Yeah.
But hey, real quick, what was the first ever PG-13 movie? I found what that is. Same year. I'll give you one hint.
Okay, hint.
Wolverines. They scream it often in the movie. They yell it.
Oh, they yell.
Amazing cast.
They yell
Wolverines. Yeah.
It's not Back to the Future. No, it's not Back to Bill and Ted? No, I don't know.
Red Dawn. First ever PG-13 movie.
Yes. You know what? I knew that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I knew that. You know
little
what?
fun facts for you, sequel lovers.
I don't remember that movie that much. I mean, I know it's great, but like, was it very violent, or was
they kill a ton of people?
Oh no, I know, but I mean, was it like bloody, like killing people, or was it more because of the subject matter being that
subject? I would think the fear of going to school and Russia, and
right, and at the time Russia was such a big okay.
Yeah. That movie and Stripes are two movies that are really good until like when I used to have it on DVD, I turn it off in the last 4 chapters. Because it just gets so slow. And when they go to Italy,
well, you know what? A lot of those movies, same thing with like Full Metal Jacket. Like the first half of Full Metal Jacket is awesome. Yeah. And then once I bet you most people don't remember the second half of Full Metal Jacket. I mean, outside of they meet the prostitute right away, but outside of that, like I don't remember the second half at all. I don't know what happens. But the first half, everybody knows. So, yeah. Okay.
So great. Yeah. So little trivia there for you, sequel lovers. Tell that to somebody at the water cooler. You'll be cool. So then from there, they're going to the Bangkok Palace, and this is where everybody starts panicking, and I would too. They're seeing like these mummified people in the woods, like blood on them, and it's fresh, and you're like, holy shit, like are these other people that were trying to go to this place that when we get to it, you're like, this seems pretty normal. Like it really is normal, minus what's on the menu. It seems like a pretty normal place.
Well, outside of it being like massive and no one walking around at all.
No,
I feel like there's no one living in that town, and this prince is just basically the prince of his workers, because literally when they walk in there, there's not one person.
Yeah, no, there's no one.
Okay. All right.
At all. But they meet the prime minister when they finally get there. And then they get abandoned. Like you said, if they kept using the elephants, they probably might have not even got up there.
Right.
But as soon as everybody left them, they were able to run up there pretty quick, because within seconds, then they're inside this palace and they meet the prime minister.
Well, don't forget, the elephants run away. They got spooked and they ran away after they got there.
Oh, and then the guys run with them. Oh, that's what
yeah. They're like, all right, this is as far as we go,
little
and they leave
the elephant. So the one elephant's like, is that real? Is that fresh blood? Let's go.
But yeah, so this okay, and you see this in a lot of movies. You see that young. Well, I know he's not there yet. So let's get to the dinner. Let's get to the dinner.
The dinner. That's pretty. Oh my god, dude! Here's like the one that we kind of mentioned before.
Memory
you're watching this on video.
This area, this province,
we'll
the
describe
center of it.
When
First
they're
of all,
at the table,
that guy has a mean mustache. Look at that mustache.
Oh, dude, it almost looks like Dom DeLuise.
Oh, 100%. Like it looks like the biggest fake mustache. Okay. Those are eels.
So those are. Oh, okay.
I think you don't think they look like eels?
No, they do. Yeah, I just didn't think maybe they'd use this thing. When you see the guy suck it down,
well,
I'm like,
he eats
how are you
everything.
eating that?
They're excited about everything he
it.
eats.
With human sacrifice.
Ugh.
The British Army, nice.
And then the old British guy's like, yeah, I don't want to do this.
Oh.
Well, I suppose.
And he's eating two at okay, wait. And he's eating two at a time. Like they're so good, I'm gonna have two at a time. Like, that's so gross. I mean, well, okay.
You die.
Okay, first of all,
you didn't eat that. I know your stomach acid would like do some damage to a creature that you ate, but I think that creature is gonna be like, I got to get out of here.
Okay, so there's what 3 separate things that they eat in this scene. Which is the grossest one? Like, which is the if you had a choice, like if you had a, and you're sitting there and they're saying, listen, you got to eat one of them. What is the one that you think that you can handle the most? I mean, first of all, those beetles were huge.
Were the beetles alive? Were they alive?
I don't think so.
I feel like they were moving. No,
I wouldn't be surprised, but like they were sucking it down like it was an oyster. The beetle. I mean, like it was.
I'd probably go monkey brains.
Oh my!
Because I couldn't eat the eel or snake. I couldn't eat that because it was moving.
But the monkeys were staring at you when you're eating their brain.
No, they were facing the opposite way. I would close my eyes and not look at the other person's meal. So their monkey was staring at me.
So you think like the monkey brain's like gelato?
Oh, like that's what it always looks like. The monkeys' heads are something that haunt my memories from this movie. Just how like stoic they look, and they look like they're like,
Yeah.
They look like when they were killing them, they were just like.
But okay, so the fact that it's a dessert and it looked like there's steam coming out of it, so it's probably ice, like ice cream, so you can't really eat it that fast. So like you're chewing on this monkey brain, and that's what you choose. I feel like maybe the slurping down the beetle might be the easiest one. Oh god, like what was
if you
the
eat
point?
your monkey too fast, you had a monkey brain freeze.
Oh my, oh, so right, so you think brain gives you brain freeze?
Well, you said it was chilled. It was like a dessert gelato.
But can a brain? So eating brains also give you brain? Because you're eating this. I just don't know what was the point. Like, is this supposed to show like this is what they really eat? Like, okay, not for nothing. Let's break this down. This kid, the prince, is super rich. He's got this massive. He's so rich he could probably buy anything in this country. And this is the food he eats?
Yeah.
I mean, literally, if he's that rich, he can't eat anything else. Like, he chooses to eat eels, monkey brains, and beetles.
And we forgot to mention how Willie, when they do her up real good, they put on the thing, and she's like, "Ooh, the prince! I can't wait to meet him." And I love Short Round like ribs her about it.
Oh yeah,
great.
Oh, by the way, we forgot one more meal: the soup eyes.
Oh my god! And she said, "Do you have soup?" And she lifts it up, and her and Shoreline both looking like, "This is great." And she moves her spoon, and the eyes pop up. That's pretty good. I like
okay, so what did she think? There were multiple things that they're eating right now are disgusting. Did she think the soup was going to be normal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I hate these movies that show the prince, like this prince. I mean, again, young kid, that all these adults have to follow this young, probably obnoxious little kid. Like, I don't know.
No matter what he says, wouldn't they be like, "This kid's a punk, throw him in a locker and let's do what we want." We don't
listen. They had some big guys there. They easily could have taken over in 2 seconds. Because really, I mean, outside of the prince, you didn't see the prince's parents. Like, you didn't see the king or the queen or anything else like that. So it looked like
he was the king. He was the king there, right?
Yeah, but I mean, usually the father like retires or whatever, and he hands the crown over to his son. I'm just saying, like, you don't see anyone else in his family the whole movie. All you see is him and all his cronies. So why are they listening to this kid? Like that big guy that, of course, there's always a big guy that Harrison Ford fights. He should have been king. Like, who's going to stop him?
Yeah, no, he's the main henchman. It's so funny in this scene because the kid at this point, it seems obviously he's been involved with everything that's going on in a few scenes later. Like, he's always been involved with it. But when he talks in this scene at the dinner, when he talks about like righting the wrongs of his ancestors and everything, you're like, "Oh, this guy's maybe okay." But no, he's freaking evil, dude. Later in the movie with the doll,
he is. Yeah, no, we're not.
That was wild.
So okay, so I love the fact that Harrison Ford's sitting at this meal, not flinching at all about the food, because he's having such a deep conversation about everything that any scream that Willie does, or all the food coming out, he hasn't even stopped his conversation. He just kept going on the entire time.
And she passes out. The monkey brains pass her, and then she wakes up to him, and he has a plate of fruit for her. Well, and this is
well, first he knocks on her door, and she slams it like almost. Doesn't she shut it in his face? And he starts chewing the apple, and she hears the apple.
Oh yeah.
So she wanted nothing to do. She wanted nothing to do with him until Well, think about it. She barely ate at the tribe, because they were eating some kind of paste, whatever that was. And then, so she didn't eat now, and it's the second day. So she literally hasn't really eaten in 2 days.
It's funny. She didn't want to eat at the village, like the paste. She was probably like, you know what? The next place can't be as bad.
Can't be worse than this.
But it is so funny with her and Indy. Even the scene, it might be the one that people maybe complain the most about. It is sort of funny. Like, it is like, because you have the two people, it's very like Grease-like, I guess, in that scene when they're both like, obviously that's singing in Grease, but you have the two people like talking about the other person and they're like a room away. But right from there, like, you're right. When she was like, she get out of here, and he bites the apple, and then she's like into him, and then she starts flirting. She goes, I wear my jewels and nothing else to bed. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah,
This is like 0 to 60 and nowhere.
She turned it around so fast, and she went hard. Like she like, you know, I mean, even when like they go their separate ways, and she's like rolling around the bed waiting for him to come in, you know, like so.
I know.
But I think this is another scene that just went on a little too long. Like it was because the camera went back and forth so many times of seeing him, seeing her, and not for nothing. This is Indiana Jones. He doesn't wait for anybody. Like the fact that he was like, she was kind of controlling the situation a little bit. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, who said it to who that you'll be back in 5 minutes? He said that to her?
No, she said it to him.
Oh yeah. Cause they were both looking at the clock.
Yes.
And it was like a minute. It was like whatever time. I think it was like 10 o'clock or whatever.
And then they both not even like as soon as he went back to his room, which by the way, he went to the bed in his clothes, like no pajamas, like he sleeps hat, jacket, like he's Indiana Jones all the time once he's Indiana Jones. And he literally, the second he got into his bed, he starts thinking about it already. Like there wasn't even a hesitation. It was almost like I feel like it reminded me of Seinfeld when they made the bet and Kramer lost in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like literally like, you know, like you think like, all right, 5 minutes, I'm going to show her. No, it was like 30 seconds and he's already like panicking. Like, all right, how am I going to do this? How come she's not coming in here? Yeah.
But I do thought it was pretty funny because at first they did like the little argument, they were flirting, and then they were talking like they were dating, and the door closed, and then I love the fact that the camera was still there, and the door immediately opens, and they're like arguing, and they're like, "I'm not that easy," and she's like, "I'm not that easy," and you'll be back in 5 minutes. And her line when she finally like gets like the gusto to get out of her room and be the first one to break it, that's when Indy is getting choked out in the other room, and she goes, "I could have been your greatest adventure."
Which, I mean, you know, that's a little high on herself. But the guy choking out Indy, I had to rewind it because he pulled such a Rambo. Like he was, he was
in
like,
the wall. He was
in the wall. He blended in so well that literally, like, I rewound it again to watch. I wanted to see because the first time when you're watching it, you don't see him come out of the wall. Like it's such a sudden thing. You're like, whoa, where'd he come from? Because and then rewinding it, he's standing so still when you see him in the background. He does such a great job. But like, I don't know. I imagine like I don't know. Can you? Is it easy to blend into a wall like that? Because this guy literally like Indiana Jones, like
he was perfect.
He was facing him when he walked to his bed because he was right to the side of his bed. He was right there. Like yeah. Okay.
And the guy was good because he snuck into the room and didn't wake up Short Round.
I was going to say that.
So he was in there for a while.
It took a while for Short Round to also wake up. I mean, Indy's getting choked this entire. Okay.
Last time he slept was on a boat on a river.
Okay.
Oh no, I guess they slept in the jungle. You're right.
No, they slept in the jungle. They slept in a boat. They slept on a plane. I mean, he slept a lot. I don't think Willie slept at all. So yeah. Okay.
But the one thing that's really cool about this scene and just visually the way it was shot is the shadows. Oh my God, dude. They just seeing the scene, like seeing the action is great. And this is like I love about like some of the Friday the 13th movies. Like I don't need to see Jason killed. The shadows like are so cool. And in this one, when you're seeing like Indy getting choked out, or when you see like his arm with the whip, like pulling on the guy and you just see the big shadow project on the wall. That is just so cool. And just the way he does it, he chokes the guy and then the whip goes into the fan. And you're like,
what a way to go. I mean, that's like, and I mean, let's be honest though. If that, I would think the fan would fall out of the ceiling. Like if it's wrapped around you, I mean, you have the whip there, you could probably yank on the, really hard and the fan would probably come down. I mean, the guy was a pretty big guy and to lift him off the ground.
Maybe nowadays fans, but man, back in 1935, they made fans that last forever.
Not for nothing. They lived in like again, like a palace in like from look like a long time ago of all like cement blocks and everything else. And the fact that they have a ceiling fan.
Yeah.
I mean, something it just didn't go. I can't imagine them having ceiling fans in this kind of like palace.
You know what? I agree. Like that's a bizarre thing, but I'm sure that was a thing. It is bizarre to see everything else. Hey, no, we don't have any like lights, right? There's no lights. It's all
that's
all torches, right?
It's all torches. So like, why would they have a ceiling fan?
Yeah, so they have electricity just for a fan?
The ceiling fan looked like one you would buy at Home Depot. Like it doesn't look like one like for like. Okay, maybe if they had a ceiling fan made of stone, they did the best they could or whatever they had. But no, they have one that looks like you paid $100 at Home Depot for.
But it's so funny, like we mentioned when we started, like in our little intro, we were talking about this movie, how it is like a movie of like a tale of two halves, and this is like from here is the rest of the movie. It's minus the last 9 minutes. It's the end of the movie from here. And you don't remember it like as a kid, like you don't think of movies that way, but it's like once they go in to the wall, like which happens in a second, that's the rest of the movie. They're down there the rest of the movie.
Well, I feel like the first half of the movie, he's the professor. And then this is where he starts becoming Indy. The minute he gets attacked in a room, he's Indiana Jones the rest of the movie. And I think that's why it's so different. Like now it feels like an Indiana Jones movie. But all this time, it feels like a 1933 movie, it feels like a Humphrey Bogart movie. That Casablanca. It's the old. You see the show. They're at this palace. They're eating. It's like it's not an Indiana Jones movie. It's like an old timey movie. Now it's like Superman's putting his cape on, and now it becomes Indiana Jones because the rest of the movie is like nonstop.
Yeah, it is pretty funny when he goes into Willie's room. And then he's searching, like within seconds, he's like, "Oh, I know that there's something in here."
Why would he think something's in there?
I don't know.
I thought he was searching for someone else. I thought he was searching for somebody. But no, I think he's searching because he thinks like, how did this guy get in here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's probably why. Yeah. He probably thought maybe. It's a little bit of both. I think you're right. When he goes in there, he does look around like there's someone here.
Oh, he looked under the bed. Right.
Yeah.
But so the fact that he
grabs the boobs.
Yeah. What made him think that that's going to be something that's going to be, or he just wanted to grab them because they were there? Because I think a lot of guys do that. Like if you see no one's looking and there's a mannequin right there, you might try to grab the boobs.
You gotta. How do you not? You'll think about it for the rest of your life.
And let me tell you,
grab that boob.
That's the statue's boobs are pretty big.
Big boobs, and he like grabs them, and I love that Willie's sort of like, she's like crude. She's like, oh, this guy's so crude. When she wanted him to grab her boobs, 10 minutes before.
That's what she says though. She says so when he grabs the boob, she goes, "I'm right here," and she's like pointing to her own chest, and that I mean, so what she must think of Indy, like I'm standing right here waiting for him, and he's grabbing the statue's boobs.
Yeah, ugh.
And then the fact that like I know later on when she does it. Like she feels like it's icky touching a statue's boobs.
Oh, I know, dude. She's so grossed out.
Why? By, like, it's a statue. Them.
But I do love right away once he opens it and he goes in there and he sees which we didn't mention earlier, but it was like that manuscript.
Yep.
That he got, and it was the same one that was on the markings were the same.
Where did he get that manuscript? Because I totally forgot that
from in the village.
That's how. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how they told him something in regards to the stone with the 3 lines. Like this is where you could find it, or this is like something that was left. But I love, you're right. He changes into the cape because when he calls for Short Round, and then when they cut and we see him walking through it, he's in the outfit.
Well, he says, "Get my stuff." He tells him, "Get my stuff." So his stuff is basically his hat, his whip, and his jacket. That's his stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I mean, listen, this is very high tech. This statue. I mean, the way it moves, like, and goes in there. I mean, and then this whole, which kind of doesn't make sense because they're on the top floor, because the guy like there's a balcony there. So the fact that they're going into the wall here would make no sense because they're above ground right now.
Yeah, you're right.
Because there's a balcony in both rooms, in his room and her room.
Yeah. You can see her balcony right there, unless this is like a little part. Yeah, no, you're right.
No. And it's not like they're walking down; they're basically walking straight across. So the way it is, they're walking outside the balcony in the middle of air, like middle of the sky. Yeah, they should have been on the ground floor to open us.
One thing I have to say is all those times, do you remember like on Fox, like this is like 2000-ish, when they did like that live opening up of the temple?
Yes.
Okay, I remember how much of it, like how lame it really was.
It was
because-
Geraldo. It was Geraldo, and they were opening up
Geraldo
a tomb.
did one of them.
I thought they were opening some tomb, like a mummy's tomb or something, or something.
Yeah, that's what it was. But it
Yeah.
was like because they claimed
Yes.
they never went in there beforehand.
Yes.
So everything was going to be so fresh, which I don't know if that's true.
Right.
Why would you put people into harm's way if something
Right.
walked in and the whole place
Of
collapsed?
course not.
But like I honestly, the technology in these things, like the slow moving of a stone door or the spikes, I don't get that. I don't understand.
Well, but go back to the pyramids. I mean, no one can explain how they were made, right? I mean, so like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised you see these stuff a lot. I mean, because I think the way these tombs are they are portrayed in the pyramids are pretty incredible. So who knows? I mean, but yeah, I mean, what I don't understand, we're not to the spikes yet, but we'll get to the spikes. But okay, so anyway, so you have all these. You have them walking through, and they feel the ground is like icky.
Ugh.
Which, this is gross. I mean, this whole scene is. I honestly would have a hard time, probably as much as she had in this whole scene. The stuff that she has to do, and she's going barefoot.
Oh my god! I wonder if our buddy worked on this, or if he didn't work on it. I know he didn't work on it, but
that's a lot of. Well, he would probably be mad because you're stepping on the bugs, probably killing some of the bugs, so he wouldn't be happy with that. But how are there so many bugs in there? Like, are they feeding them like every once in a while, or? And it's a big area. I mean, it's a whole what? Why are they staying in one area?
They're throwing buckets of bugs in there. They're like, you know what? If people do go through the back room, like I guess every room somehow must lead to this, right? Because all those people are getting down there somehow. Or there's different paths with a spiky room that you have to get through. But I love that they have like that fail safe. Like they go in there.
Okay. How does he know that? Like how the fact that he's assuming there's a fail safe. I mean, it looks like such an old school torture room that like old time like caveman stuff, whatever. And he knows there's got to be a fail switch somewhere. Why would he assume that? And it seemed like he knew exactly where it was because he told her, "Don't go in this hole, go in the other one." Like, why?
Yeah. And his face was in the one, yeah.
And he couldn't even see in that hole. So how did he know that it was right there?
Yeah, I know. And I love her face when she reaches through and he's like, "No, the other hole."
Yeah.
And then when she reaches in. And when they just show it and the nasty, disgusting bugs that are in there, like I don't even know. Obviously, they must be real bugs, but
no, they look like real bugs.
Crawling on her was disgusting.
Massive. Well, and they showed her legs, her feet, and the big beat things. Yeah, I mean, clearly there had to be. I'm assuming that was a stunt double because I mean, that takes a strong person to deal with that. I mean, even if you're okay with bugs, with this many bugs. Oh, that was rough. That's a rough scene.
No way.
I just love how a lot of these scenes, it looks like danger is going to happen in seconds, but it's the slowest moving danger ever. And I mean, there's a point where literally his hat is getting squished from the spikes coming down, and she's still, it's still like there's still time to save him.
Yeah, and I love that how that came to be when he was short round. Just stay against the wall, and he bumps into the mechanism, the stone that somehow is connected to like a conveyor.
Well, it's the second time. Isn't this second thing he did? So there was he stepped on
something in that room. Yeah, he stepped on something that
locked him in there. He stepped on something that locked him in there.
Yes, yeah.
And then he went against, and so he's clearly as clumsy as yeah. But you know what? He didn't. Again, he's a young kid. You would think he'd be screaming. You don't hear him scream once, like in fear. So
lots of adventures it seems like they've been on. Like because he said he found he knows how to do this so well. Like this isn't like the second or third time that they've done this.
Well, he was a pickpocket.
Like
he pickpocketed him. So he probably had. I mean, he probably did a lot of crazy stuff on his own. But yeah, it's not. It definitely. But he's only like 9 or 10. So how many adventures could he possibly have gone on with him? And where are his parents? Allowing him to go on these adventures with Indiana Jones. So I don't know. A lot of questions. I would like to see a prequel of Short Round. How did he become Short Round?
That'd be
good.
cool if they showed that in the movie. If they're going to do the CGI flashbacks,
right?
Show a little bit how they meet.
See,
could do
that would have been good for like the Crystal Skull instead of doing like my son or whatever it was. Was he his son in the movie or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't remember. Anyway, that would have been cool to show, like have Short Round in there, but then show how they met and all that. So it'd be, that would have been cool. Anyway, so I love the fact that after she does pull the safety switch, whatever, how quickly the spikes go up. It's like literally goes up so fast, but the way it came down, like, and not for nothing, if you're trapping someone in a room, why not just let the ceiling fall quick? Like, why give them enough time to figure a way out when you can easily just drop it? Like, just drop it like a guillotine. Let the spikes fall quickly, kill them instantly, and then it automatically goes up. No, it gives them just enough time. Every movie, same thing with Star Wars. They're in the trash compactor. It's very slow. Give them time to figure out how to. Well,
that's not to kill them. That's not the trash compactor is something they accidentally get put into.
All right.
So this is like something that's set up for death.
Okay,
but it's not like there's cameras for them to watch it, or there's not like a henchman watching through a hole. No, you're right. It should just drop. But no.
And how many people are going through there that they need a room like that? I can't imagine, because clearly there's no one in town. So who's going through there that they need a safe room to block them from going into the special dungeon?
Yeah, how many people know to push on the big boobed statue? Just
No.
Dr. Jones.
Just Dr. Jones.
Like, it seems like he's the only one. And I love in these movies the patented, like it's like his hat. Like, if he didn't have his hat, it's like his magic wand. It's like when he dives through and he just gets through and his hat falls off and he reaches back for it. I was trying to think, like, what if he died?
What if he lost his arm? No, he lost his arm because he reached over his arm.
Yeah.
So he's risking his arm for his hat. But
there's magic.
Think about it.
It's like Frosty the Snowman.
Oh, it is.
It's like he needs that.
Frosty without his hat is not Frosty the Snowman. Indiana Jones without his hat is just Professor Jones, Dr. Jones.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay.
That's something. There's magic in there.
There has to be, because there's no end. I mean, that has to smell. I mean, he wears that in every adventure. He does it. It looks cruddy. It looks old and everything else. And he just keeps wearing it. Gross.
Probably smells.
It said it smells.
Maybe Willie didn't drop her perfume. She could have put a little bit on there.
You could. Yeah, but I mean, you don't want a nice smelling Indiana Jones. You got to smell rugged. He needs that's Indiana Jones.
He's got to be gritty, yeah. But now we go to the scene that like haunted me as a kid. Besides like the monkey brains, this ritual scene.
How big is this dungeon area? I mean, it's massive. Dude, I mean, so because you picture, you take the room where they're doing this ritual. But don't forget, they also have the mine carts that are like forever. So this area is so massive, like ridiculous. And where do all those what do those workers do the whole time? Because you don't see any of them in the castle. So they just hang around the mines because they don't work in the mines. The kids work in the mines. So where are all those like followers? What are they?
Oh, all the henchmen.
The horrible henchmen that they are. Yes, all the henchmen
with their little knives. The handle of the knife is bigger than the knife. It's like you never see a knife that's a perfect triangle. It's like a little dagger. Yeah. That's all they run around with.
Yeah,
so ridiculous. But no, this scene and the set is so unbelievable looking. Like everything that is in there is a set that it must have been made.
Yeah,
and just the logic behind the scene. Obviously, the chief. That's what I'll call him. Is he obviously has some like special powers that is remarkable at the end of the movie that he can use the powers without the chanting and having the crystals around, because I thought that, or the stones, I thought that was part of the magic.
Well, what's more remarkable, the fact that he's able to pull someone's heart out, or the fact that the chest automatically heals itself, doesn't have a heart, and the guy's still alive?
Oh, the latter. Yeah, no, it's unbelievable when he starts still screaming and it closes up perfectly and you can't see it.
And you can't see it, and he doesn't have a heart anymore. And he's still alive, he's still screaming, and he's alive the entire time going down to Inferno. Like that. Are they going down to hell? Because that looks like it looks like hell that they're going into.
Yeah, and I love that in this, for him, the heart started on fire. It spontaneously started on fire before he went on fire. The heart was on fire.
Well, there's a lot of questions about that fire, that thing that brings it down there. And I mean, we'll talk about it when Willie goes, because I have a lot of questions with that.
Oh, dude, it would cook before, because that guy started on fire way before he got as close as Willie got.
Willie got
was next to it,
inches from being in the boiling lava, whatever that was, and she would have been cooked. Yeah, 100%. But not only that, how that thing was made of metal. The fact that they all grabbed it at the end and they're opening it, like it was just cold. Like they would burn their hands so much. It would be like, I think it would be orange of how hot the metal would have gotten from that inferno. Because that wasn't a regular fire. That was like that was hell. They were basically trapping hell down there.
Yeah, it was magma. It was like volcanic magma, and it was swirling on its own.
It was like a black hole of fire. Which
you're right.
That.
It would be orange, and they would burn their hands, but also Willie would be cooked.
Not for nothing. I think the metal would have melted. Like that is not your normal fire. Again, that was a black hole of fire. Like it was constantly spinning. Like there was like no explanation what that was. Like that was a weird thing to have down there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
what a great looking bad guy. Like his whole look, like with the shrunken head, and he's wearing like almost like a steer, and it's like split open. Just like a really cool look for like a bad guy in a movie.
No, he definitely did. I mean, but again, this movie is a very science fiction-y, I guess, or however, like mystical kind of movie compared to the other two. It just takes I mean, granted, there is a ghost in the third one. I mean, so yeah, I guess there's a scientific, thing in both of them. All right, never mind.
I was saying, I wrote down, because it was like going to a concert. As soon as the heart was on fire, and as soon as the guy was on fire and he was dead, everyone got up and left. Everyone in the crowd left, and you're like,
"Well, the show's over.
Shit.
The show's over.
The show's over.
There's no end credit scene. Why are they going to stay?"
It was like going to like Universal, I guess, or like Six Flags and seeing those action shows. And it's like, okay, this is it. The Miami Vice show is over.
And everybody leaves. The other guy just pulls the thing back up, slowly puts it away. And all right, we got to clean up. We got to clean up. Everybody has like popcorn left over on the floor, and But where are they going? Where are those guys going? Because you don't see them. You don't see them outside of the place they were at. So like, where are they going? Like, do they live down there?
Go to yell at kids, because that's all they're doing is standing there watching little kids with their little like axes.
Ridiculous.
And little like
they have. It seems like they have an unlimited amount of axes and chains, and they only have like 3 keys.
Oh my dude!
All right, we're not there. Okay, we're not there. All right, we're not there.
That was pretty funny. But no, I love at this point, like they're not even gone for like seconds. Like, what if like the chief forgot his keys, or he forgot his wallet?
Wait, his keys?
And he was like,
his keys to what?
His dungeon room, his master room. No, but just he could have forgot something. Yeah. He could have walked back.
He did not waste any time at all.
He's like, you guys stay here, I'm gonna go, and he climbs right out the freaking thing. Yeah. And then so you talk about like is this the longest whip ever?
Well, no, he uses another whip, his whip later on also that seems to like slide with him as yeah. So, but yeah, his whip.
Oh yeah, the mine car.
Yes,
right,
ridiculous. But yeah, even this one was like a long, like he definitely, a Star Wars, Luke Skywalker swing across. That's what it looked like when he did that. But yeah, I mean, this whip is multi. Has a lot of purpose, a lot of uses to it. It's not just not just killing.
No, and just before this, Willie, even though they hate it, like again, they have that like love-hate relationship. She gives him a smooch.
She does.
And when he gets there right away, he's like the 3 stones. So he's grabbing those 3 stones within seconds, and he starts hearing screaming.
Yeah.
And he's like, let me go check this out. Instead of doing what he should do, is I came here for one thing, and that was it.
Excuse me, Rambo was supposed to go there, just take pictures of the POWs, and he stayed behind to rescue them all. If you're a hero, you're a hero. You put money aside. So he put his fame and fortune aside, and decided to rescue the kids.
Was that the Rambo when he gets his girlfriend murdered?
That is the one. Well,
that is that one.
Well, I think he gets. Doesn't he like almost get one murdered in all movies? But okay,
I don't know.
And well, I don't know if Indiana Jones was going there to rescue the kids, or maybe he was just curious what's going on.
Well, the kids was like the back thing because he mentions that he kind of like we kind of not forget about it because we see them, but when he utters that line, like they're like, "Oh, let's go," and he's like, "One more thing," or he says like some kind of line with that, and they zoom in on him. But yeah, so this is right from here. They all get taken, like Willie, Short Round are taken.
Well, he throws a rock at the guy first, right? He threw a rock at the big guy.
He throws the big guy. Yeah.
And the rock bounces off his head.
Like
I mean, first of all, the aim that Indiana Jones has clearly because he's able to throw a shish kebab with food on it directly in the heart of someone else. But this wasn't a pebble. This is a pretty big rock that looked like it was bigger than his palm. Like it was a big rock. He threw it at the guy, and it literally bounces off his head. Like
that guy was like Robert Zadar, the chin from Tango and Cash.
Yeah,
he was like that massive of a man.
Oh, he was
and
big
just like
dude.
it just bounces off his head like
bounced.
It's nothing.
It bounced, yeah, and it didn't even move his hat. Like his hat just stayed still. Like at least knock the hat off. That would have been funny. But no, it bounces off the hat.
Yep.
Okay.
They're all taken.
They're all taken.
A prison.
Okay. The bars in this prison that they're at.
Oh.
Short Round easily could have slid through. When they're showing you from the front of it and they're working its way back, you see how wide it is. He maybe Indiana Jones can't, but Short Round easily could have slid through.
Why wasn't Short Round handcuffed? All the kids were handcuffed. Indy was handcuffed. Why not Short Round?
Well, because he was in jail.
They were all in the jail, but they were all cuffed because there's little kids.
He's a kid.
But the other little kids were handcuffed.
They're handcuffed so they don't run away. Not because they're.
But they weren't workers. They were new kidnappees because they said once you drink the blood, that's where we hear about. The blood for the first
you mean
time.
the other kids that were in a jail with them? Oh
yeah.
I got
he says you live once you drink the blood, the black blood, then you're in like a forever nightmare.
Correct.
So it sets up why Indy shouldn't drink
You're right. Why wasn't he handcuffed? But did they ever explain where the black blood comes from?
No.
Okay.
There's
that's
no
not important. That's not
origin
important. Yeah, that's not important
of what animal
I mean, the fact that this completely makes you turn into a zombie. Not only does it turn you into a zombie, that you basically learn how to speak their language when you drink the blood. But I think it would kind of be important to show where it comes from.
It's like instant Rosetta Stone. You know what they should have done? It should have been when the heart melts on fire, like when it's on fire. Maybe have one of the henchmen run up and catch it into
something, but they don't tell you anything. So, okay.
Nope.
All right. That's fine.
We don't get anything about
nothing.
That. But, so the chief, his whole thing is he explains that he's using the children to dig because there's two more stones. So in actuality, it's 5 total.
Correct.
2 were stole by the British and then they threw it. He made it sound like the British were dicks. Well, they are dicks in history, but they were basically they were dicks and they just threw it, and we don't want it anymore. You guys find it.
So did the mine start off as just above ground, and they just been digging all this time to find those rocks, and they just
would think something like that.
Like, why does he think it's in this mine? Clearly, there's not a lot of rock left. I mean, they're so open and wide. Like, why do they think it's gonna be stuck inside a rock? Like,
yeah.
Like that doesn't make sense either. They're not even digging. They're breaking rocks. So it'd be one thing if they're digging holes, like the movie Holes, they're digging holes around, but they're breaking rocks. Why would the rock be inside a rock?
Yeah. What if they accidentally break the rock? Does that ruin it? Does it still happen?
True.
You have all these little kids that are probably don't eat.
Right.
They probably are going blind from living down there without eye protection. They're just swinging at everything. Yeah. They break that rock. It's okay, we're looking for one, guys.
It's ridiculous.
That's it.
So I guess he wants him to drink the blood to be one of his henchmen. Is that why he's trying to make him have the blood?
Yeah, like
Okay.
I don't know why Indiana Jones would be such a big deal as a henchman, but I guess in the same sense, it's just this guy won't bug me anymore.
right.
Even though it's the first
Okay.
time he's ever really interacted with him. But man,
So
him spitting that out, ugh.
So let me ask you this. So he spits it out, and they're having trouble with him. So they bring out the prince, who's clearly under influence, and he brings out a voodoo doll. So a couple of questions with this. I'm not an expert on voodoo dolls, but first of all, where'd they get the little hat? to make Indiana Jones. I mean, like this is a place that looks like, I mean, again, everything's made of stone, and the kids are basically wearing like diapers, throughout the whole thing. Where are they getting a little Indiana Jones hat?
There was no Ken dolls back then, so there was like a little
okay, and maybe they have the technology to make it. They just met Indiana Jones earlier in that day. Or the day before. So you're telling me the next day they just happened to have an Indiana Jones hat and jacket. They literally had Indiana Jones jacket also ready to go. Okay. All right. And so if you have a voodoo doll, do they have to dress like the person to make it work? Like so
work? Yeah.
So if he wasn't wearing the hat and he stabbed it, he wouldn't feel anything. But because he has the hat on, now it's Indiana Jones.
A perfect match. Yeah. If it was like you had somebody in a white shirt and that day they wore a yellow, it's not going to be effective. You're right. It's so funny. Was there like a seamstress? They walked in. Okay, guys, no more dresses for today. This is what we need you to do. And then how'd they know he wore that?
How do you, right?
Because he wasn't wearing that yet. He was dressed as the professor.
It makes
no. I guess he showed up. He showed up as Indiana, right? When he got there, he was dressed as Indy.
Maybe.
Yeah, because they walked through the jungle.
So they made it in a day? Because that was
I know, it's still ridiculous.
It was a pretty good hat. It was a hat that, like Woody would wear in a toy. Like, it was that good of a hat, But again, like, you see voodoo dolls all the time. I don't know if they, do they have to dress exactly? If they made a voodoo doll of you, I mean, you have a lot of different clothes. So how would they if they made a voodoo doll of the professor of that's Professor Jones, not Indiana Jones, would it only work when he dressed as professor?
Yeah. it's like he's like, you know what? Can you do me a favor? I know this is kind of weird, but before we try to tempt you to drink this blood, can you go put your glasses on in that other outfit?
Oh, it's not working. We got to put the hat on him. Okay. All right. So stupid. Okay. All right.
But voodoo dolls, that's something that is in so many movies, and it's like the origins of that. The fact that those are like things that people do, and do they believe it works?
I don't know.
Has it ever worked somehow? Maybe it worked by accident one time. They like touched somebody in the leg, and
at the same time he stepped on a Lego. And he said, ouch. And he thought, oh, okay, it must be working. There you go. Okay.
They're like, holy shit, we're going to teach this.
All right.
Oh, my God. You got to make sure you have the matching hat. That's the only way it works.
All right.
But yeah, what a powerful scene. Like, kind of a sad scene after he spits the blood. Just seeing him and Short Round, because Short Round escapes and starts fighting. See them both get whipped.
Well, okay, it's one thing seeing Indiana Jones get whipped. I mean, and it's tough to see anyone get whipped. But to see a kid get whipped, that was pretty brutal. Rough. I mean, again, and that's part of the reason why parents were like saying this should not have been a PG, it should have been R or whatever, because they thought it was too violent against kids. I mean, listen, kids get punched in this movie. I mean, the rest of the movie, they show a lot of things that happen for an Indiana Jones kids movie. There's a lot of violence, so yeah. And then you see Short Round like barely hanging on, watching Indy drink the blood.
And he couldn't spit it out. Yeah.
He couldn't spit it out. Yeah. Okay.
Rough, man. And then we cut to him having like these convulsions in this room full of candles that was set up for him.
Yep.
And cut to Short Round at the same time. He's already working.
Oh,
he's on the line.
He really is. And they didn't waste time. But why is he's wearing his normal outfit? All these kids are wearing a diaper, and he's wearing his normal Short Round clothes.
The seamstress was working on dolls. They
ran out of clothes.
Well, you know every type of outfit.
There weren't any kids left in the town, so they had just enough uniforms for everybody.
Yeah.
So uniforms. They just had enough diapers for everybody that, you know what, for Short Round, he would be okay. All right.
I do love with him how tenacious he is.
Oh,
we see him like working for maybe a half a second, and then he looks
half a-
around and he starts
half a second.
hitting his chain.
And no one's paying attention. Like you would think, like, all right, this is the new guy that kid who he seems like a troublemaker. Let's keep an eye on him. No, they just basically throw him online, and which he's shackled to other kids, right? Are they all shackled together? Or are they shackled?
Yeah,
separately?
they are. Yeah.
So
no, they are.
How do you get shackled in the middle of the group? He should be on the end.
Just like connect it like a dog.
Oh yeah, he should be on the end. He should be on the end. He should be like out like near the end of the cave door, like because there's so many kids there, like they're running out of room. Like he should be like the rocks that just covered like near the end of or the entrance. But he's right in the middle, and he's the only kid to think of. Like there's got to be 100 kids there, easy, right? I mean, there's a lot of kids. No one thought of trying to break the, I mean, you have a tool right there. You break, I don't know. I mean, pretty creative.
Why did I think of that? They see him start running. They're like, shit, we've been here
and
for 2 years.
They're still standing there watching. How about like, all right, you know what? Maybe we could do the same thing.
Yeah. Or how about the fact that even though it would be grown men they're going against, there's like thousands of kids.
Oh.
They just turn on them and just take them out.
I mean, listen, there's a lot of situations in time when they could have done the exact same thing, and look what happened. True. So I mean, I always say that. I said, and I think that's part of the problem. Like, there's times in history where if they just banded together, they probably could have taken over and stopped whatever is going on. So I think this is kind of the same situation that, yeah, they probably could have, but I think they were just afraid. But the minute you see one kid who's literally there for 2 minutes escape, they should have easily done it. So, but
look at the new guy. Yeah. The new guy is doing it, guys.
But the way he just knows where to go, and the way he climbs, and he's literally a miniature Indiana Jones. I mean, it's incredible. And that's like the highest ladder I've ever seen.
When he's like he doesn't fully get out yet.
No.
So this is like we see him starting to break the chain, and then we cut to seeing Indy with his face painted, no shirt on, and then out of nowhere we see him start chanting in like this really weird voice.
Do you think
Willie,
the bad guy pulled him aside and said, "All right, here's the chant. We have to go over it a few times, because while we haven't seen Indy in a while. We only saw Short Round because he knows the chant very well." So do you think there's a guy like teaching the chant and like he's no, you're saying it wrong. You got to say it like this and like teaching him the whole way. So this way,
it's great. Just put a little more emphasis on the ooh-la. They give him a little chant card, a little cheat sheet. No, dude, just seeing him do it. And then we see Willie. Willie comes out. She's put into the chains. And dude, the fact that this guy, how many other people, you're the same thing that we just mentioned with Short Round. Short Round's the new guy, the new kid. All the other kids seeing him break the chains and be like, oh shit, why didn't I do that? Right. Same thing with all these people that are part of the cult, right? All those people in the crowd.
Yeah, but they drank the blood. They might have drank in the blood.
I would think. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it's a very like a special thing for them to do that.
Where else are they coming from? Like there's no women, so there's no women in this town at all, right? Yeah. Willie's the only woman there. Like, is there any other woman once they get to the palace? So, like, first of all, maybe that's why they're killing her. Like, maybe they killed all the women because there's not one other woman in this entire town.
Yeah, no, or there, it'd be almost like if they use like there's usually rules about like virgins or something of the people that they sacrifice. This, it seems like everyone, but I was saying like the fact that he's the new guy who's been like,
and they give him such a big, and they give him such a big job.
The big job. Yeah. Right away. They're like, you know what? You can rip this heart out. Because that's basically what he wants him to do. And really, she doesn't even have the rip heart thing. They're like, that's next week, buddy. You're training. Will you just close?
Maybe it was a tease. It was just a tease for Indy. Like, all right, we're gonna pretend like he's gonna rip their heart out, but he's not really gonna do it. So everybody go along with it. See, the guys in the background, it would make sense if when they went to the village, it was only the women there and Albert Einstein. There was no one else. Like, and then it would make sense that they put all the men in a trance and they kidnapped all the kids. Then that would make sense. But where did these guys come from without having any women?
Yeah, that is true.
So, okay. All right. So anyway,
where are all the ladies?
Yeah, they aren't. I think they sacrificed them all. Because why would you immediately sacrifice her? Like, to me, I would have sacrificed Indy. Like, she's not a threat. This guy is a threat, you know? So why are they sacrificing her over Indy?
Yeah, get rid of the guy that has the history of like going on these adventures, surviving all these different things.
The fact that he called him
be one of us.
Okay, and not for nothing, the head guy called him Mr. Jones. How does he know he's Mr. Jones?
I think everybody knows Dr. Well, we know why. Who do we see in a few minutes? Who's like another? We obviously we know. I'm guessing. Yeah, the prime minister.
Yeah,
is evil too. So I'm sure he was involved, and the kid knows he's Dr. Jones too.
All right.
So it seems like everyone at that dinner table, maybe they were down there and we just didn't see them. Like the guy sucking down the eels, maybe he was there. But I love that at the same time, like you're saying, short round. He's now on the loose, and you're right. When he climbs that ladder, he's going through everybody. Oh my god!
And so this is like a super tall ladder. Don't you think that
nowhere?
Not only out of nowhere, don't you think it would be attached to the rock somehow? Not like, because that if you have a tall ladder, and it's not like a ladder that has another side to it. It's one of those ladders that if you lean it the wrong way, it's gonna fall.
Yeah.
Right? Why would you have it unattached where he literally pushes it, which is a cool move that he does. I mean, risky move. I don't know how he knew the ladder was going to reach where he was going, and he grabs onto what? A hanging rope?
A rope, yeah.
First of all, it was the smallest rope ever because it wasn't all the way down to the ground.
It was a rope to nowhere. It was like a little nub. And
it really was a real little nub. It was like he just barely grabbed it. So what was that rope for? Maybe it used to be a chandelier there, and they just got rid of it. And it's just
maybe they're installing a giant fan. Hey, workers! I know, hey, little slave children. You know,
don't say we didn't do anything for you. We're helping you out a little bit. Yeah, okay.
And also, next Friday we're gonna have cake in the break room. A little slice. That's it.
Ridiculous. Okay,
but no, that stunt. Just seeing that stunt of him like kicking the ladder over and then landing on the rope, pulling himself out.
No,
and again, it's sort of another sort of like sad-ish scene when he knows Dr. Jones and he says like, "You're my best friend, Indy."
No, I love you. He says, "I love you. You're my best friend."
Wow.
Okay, which makes it even hard. And then he slaps him.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's
but what turns him? It's funny. This is something that has probably been done so many times to different people, like drinking in the blood. And you're telling me in a world that there's no like artificial light, the only light is torches underground. Nobody accidentally burned themselves and said, "Oh my!" Hey,
they're surrounded by fire. I mean, there's an inferno down there. Like there's a massive inferno that I'm sure you can feel the heat in the next room. I mean, if you have a heater on in one room, you walk to the next room, you're going to feel the heat from that room.
Oh, you're toasty.
This is a black hole inferno fire that's probably hotter than the sun. That's what it looks like. And you're going to tell me no one burned themselves once? Just, it's so stupid. Yeah. And I love the fact that after he gets burned and he wakes up, he talks like a normal human. He's like, wait. Like this whole time, he's basically talking in their language or barely talking at all. He's like a zombie state, but now he's talking like a human. And they're like they don't flinch with that. They're like, he doesn't sound right. He goes, "Let me take care of this one." Like he sounded it was so off character to what he was just doing. That should have been a red flag in 2 seconds.
You're right. His teacher should have been like, "Hey, that's not part of the chant. That's not a line he's supposed to say." But I love when he goes, "I'm all right, kid."
Yeah. And it gives him a wink.
Kicking ass.
Kicks ass. And what do you know? The bad guy has probably the lamest escape route I've ever seen in a movie. It looks so fake. He basically just falls down and rolls under the statue. That was his escape.
Oh, I know.
It looks so cheesy. It looked like something that would be like on a Broadway like Disney production of the beast turning into like the prince, and he escapes that way for the prince. Like it was just like a homemade cheesy. Like that's it. Wouldn't it be easier to have like an escape plane on the floor and just fall through the floor instead of like falling down and rolling into the statue? And then where do you go from the statue? You're inside the statue. Like, does that lead to another?
Well, no, it like the floor dropped, the stone
Yes.
dropped a little bit at an angle, so he probably went down a tunnel. But it was funny. It was like, wee!
It was such a or the guy's like a magic guy. He can't like poof and like disappear and get out of there. Like, no,
he rip hearts out and close chests. But
to me, the way he rolled away
floor.
almost made it look like he's a fake guy. Like anything he's been doing. He's
the Wizard of Oz.
He is. That's what it kind of looked like. He was like, "Oh, they're onto me. Let me get out of here." You know,
it was like a parlor trick. He really doesn't rip the heart out.
So ridiculous.
Mirrors.
Well,
But,
again, considering
yeah.
the guy's still alive afterwards, maybe he did it. He probably had the heart in his pocket, and when he pretended, like he did like a David Blaine kind of thing, or no, Chris Angel, when it looks like he's going into something and he pulls it out, but he really didn't go in there. He's just a magician. Is really what it is.
He's a magician. But like this is what we were talking about like earlier. We won't go into it again. Willie's going like she's getting dropped up and down. Like they're bringing her up, and then that's when the prime minister comes from behind with the knife, and then he starts dropping her down after he takes down Indy.
Yep. No,
but then he's used to stop it. Like when Indy throws him onto it, and then his body's pinned,
and he breaks he breaks him in half. I mean, basically, yeah. I mean, that was pretty good. But like I said, like she's passed out kind of, but like that thing would be so hot when he's asking for help. First of all, he asked for help to open this. Who was helping him? Who else was? It wasn't Short Round, right? I thought like another guy was helping him or something, wasn't there? Or
it must have been Short Round. Nobody else is there.
So that thing would have been super hot. Like he literally like went in there, like he almost should have like grabbed it quickly and like, oh, you know, and like they tried to like get it off. No, it was just like, it was like nothing. Okay. All right.
But a cool ending to this part of the scene is when he grabs the stones and then, well, obviously Willie smacks the shit out of him, but then Indy gives Short Round his Yankee hat, and then Short Round gives Indy his hat.
That was
cool
a good
moment.
Scene. It was a cool moment. Like, and that's why, like, you know, like you see a lot of these like father-son moments between those two. And again, the fact that he says, "I love you," Indy, my best friend. How was he not in another movie? Like, I mean, really, like their chemistry together was great. The way he talked to Short Round, you know, like he basically ignored Willie the whole movie, and everything was directed towards Short Round. Like, Short Round, give me this or this, whatever. Or they're playing cards. Like, he should have been in more movies. I don't know why. I wonder if at the time maybe he just didn't get a good review as a character, and they didn't want to bring him back.
Well, yeah, maybe it was not even just him as a character. Maybe it was like just the movie as a whole, and they're like, yeah, people remember the weirdness.
Yeah, but The Last Crusade, I mean, he easily could have been in that movie. I don't know if Short Round made a lot of movies. You know, I mean, I know he's making movies now, but I don't know if he made a lot of movies after that.
Probably not.
All right. Okay.
You know, like you got to think in those roles, because the stereotypical roles, like really, like even people that, you know, we've had on that we've interviewed, they like Jeffrey Reddick, he talked about even in the 90s, they were basically saying like his agent was like, yeah, they're not really hiring any African-American people that look like you,
I guess,
unless you play a thug or a rapper.
You're
so
right.
maybe with him, maybe he was like, I don't want to play Long Duck Dong or play those type of roles, you know?
You know what? I'm going to look at I wonder if he stopped acting for a while and then got back to it. Because I could see him maybe going to school. Maybe he went to school and, you know, so. All right. Interesting. Okay. So, all right. So then this next scene gets a little chaotic.
It gets it's so crazy, but like when you're watching it, you're like, this was so cool. It must have took so long to shoot.
I know.
Because the track seems so long. I know sometimes they can like change the set behind, but the tracks are totally different.
I think it was a miniature. I mean, obviously they had a miniature a lot on a
No,
lot
there
of those
was.
scenes.
Yeah, there's miniatures and there's a lot of POVs.
But
so
I mean,
probably running a screen behind
general, okay, a couple of things. In general, for this, I mean, first of all, he fights the big guy now, right? First? Or is this after they fight the big guy?
Well, the big guy, this is the line when he goes, and they say, Indy, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And he says, right, all of us.
Yes.
And then this is where he's freeing the kids.
With the 3 keys. There's 3 keys.
With the 3 keys.
There's literally, and first of all, where'd they get the keys from?
From the henchmen that they beat up.
Okay.
He whooped like 2 henchmen's ass. And
so every henchman have keys on them? And they're all the exact same key. It's just one skeleton key that opens up everything. Because literally they were surrounded by so many kids. That would take a long time to let everybody out.
But the kids were resourceful, man. Throwing the rocks, setting up tripwires. They were using the chains to trip the bad guys.
Well, why didn't they do it all this time? They had. They see. They could have. So yeah. All right. So
They need a little push.
So they got the kids out of there, and now he fights the big guy, right?
Oh, dude, and that scene's cool. Him fighting the big guy, but just the other element, and that's why I think Short Round should have been another movie, and how important he is to this movie. What is that the kid is sitting there like he's playing with a doll? Like I feel like he's sitting crisscross applesauce.
He is,
and he's stabbing.
Well, he's not stabbing him yet. So like, first you see Indy fight. Like this is basically fighting the German guy in the first one. You know, the pilot, the mechanic. So he's having that fight back and forth, and you know it is like an even fight. But then they wind up on that rock crusher, and that's when the prince who's playing with the doll starts using it. And of course, again, Short Round has come to save the day multiple times. And again, this is him. I mean, without him, and I mean, the fact that he notices it right away, and but like I like how Indy, like, I mean, again, this fight scene back and forth, and every time the knife is not in his back, he's taking control of the fight, and you see him running away, but then he falls, and then it keeps getting closer. And again, one of those scenes where it looks like he's gonna die any second because it's like right by his head, but he never gets that far. But even when the guy is caught there, Indy looks like he's ready to save him. Like he's for a second. Yeah.
But Short Round, no fear. He climbs right up the thing that brings the water up.
Yep.
He climbs right up there, and he's having like a little one-on-one fight with the kid. And I love because the kid gets burnt, and the kid snaps out of it in 1 second, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Take the left tendril to get out."
The fact that it works that quickly. Just a little burn, that's it. Just, but yeah. And, again, back to Short Round, the way he climbed up that, like, think about the ladder he used to swing across and this and like, and that he's so resourceful, like Indiana Jones, like he can figure out a way for whatever his surroundings are. That was great.
Indy would be nothing without him. And even like right away, he's like left tunnel. And then Indy changes the tunnel, like which one they're going to. Okay. After he does, like you said, the most insanely long,
very long.
He's floating almost.
Yeah. I mean, listen, this scene. There's so many. First of all, there's a part when the guys are shooting at him. Indy grabs the gun out of his hand. It looks like one of those, like a shotgun kind of, and he swings the gun at the guy. He's holding a gun. Why didn't he just shoot him? Like he's literally hitting him with the gun instead of shooting it. But one of my bigger questions I have is, so the bad guy decides, you know what, we're going to get them by flooding them. So he wants to destroy.
Did that happen by accident or no?
No.
He told them to do that?
Yeah, no, the bad guy, that was his thing of like, I guess, drowning them out, but he's destroying the entire mine. All the hard work of all these kids this whole time, he wants to destroy.
And then maybe one of the kids just found the rock, and now it's floating.
Right,
it's going to go wherever it was.
Right.
So they have no.
Well, in his mind, he says it later on. Also, is those rocks will be found if he's going to drop.
He does.
So,
but you will not be.
Oh, but when that mine jumps the track and goes to the next one, it's ridiculous. So, and are mines that loose that like they can go on two wheels and then go back on?
It is frightening thinking about people in mines, like in the coal mines, like going those things. Like that is so scary to me. And I love that when they get so there's basically two groups of henchmen on the mine cart.
Correct.
And the first one, he throws like the piece of wood down, and the way he catches the next guy, he uses a shovel and breaks the thing so it falls onto them.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Well,
and the next mine car is like super strong because it blows through the other guys that are blocking the track.
Yeah, but how about the other mine car that there was a dead body on the track and the mine hit the dead body and the mine car flipped over and lost that one. Yeah. I mean, first of all, do mine cars go that fast? Like, is there, I don't think they can go that fast. I mean, it's so fast that, again, that he's using his shoes, which they got to be the strongest shoes out there, that he was able to, that not only with his shoes basically on fire when he was done, but like they were actually not like you would think like he would basically be barefoot the rest of the movie because his shoes were destroyed. And no, he just needed
water. Dude, that is so good when he's like water, and then the water's just rushing towards them.
Yeah, no, this scene was crazy. But again, I think it might have been a little too long. The chase. Yeah. But then the fact that they run out and they're standing on like a cliff, which looks like the thinnest area for their feet, and somehow the pressure of the water coming out is not knocking them down.
I know, and the fact that and when the pieces of wood are starting to like fly through the rock perfectly and not like shatter the rock, and I love that tiny ledge somehow goes off to a bridge because he says get to the bridge.
Get a bridge. Like, yeah, well, and how does he know where that ledge is going? Because is
there a fire escape?
And he's climbing the rock up, like no problem. Yeah. Okay. All right. That bridge, by the way, is super cool. Like that is.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And I'll
tell you, strong bridge, strong wood.
One thing I did read is like they actually built that bridge, and as soon as it was done, like they were Harrison Ford ran right across it, so
that is really cool.
Yeah, but yeah, this to me, this is definitely like, I mean, everything else has been pretty science fiction-y, but like when they're on the bridge and they're getting trapped on there, like this is such Indiana Jones moment. I thought it was just awesome. I mean, first of all, the fact that when he tried to pull the same thing he did in the first movie with the guys with the swords, and he pulls out his gun but realizes the gun's missing, was pretty funny. But the fact that when he was walking, he's all calm, and then you see his eyes go, and he's like 1,000 guys running after him.
Yeah. Well, he kicks the first two guys. Yeah, when he's kicking the first two guys' asses when they're on the bridge, and Short Round falls through after he says "strong wood, strong bridge," and you see him kick the first two guys. And I love the way he ran up to the camera.
Yep.
Like he was nose on the camera.
Yep.
And then he's like,
that was very funny. Yeah, that was good.
But you're right. Like this scene's so cool when he is surrounded on the bridge. And now when he lost his gun, is that all the way to the beginning of the movie when he threw the gun out the window?
Yeah. Because he hasn't used the gun the whole time. Yeah.
I know, but that's so funny that at minute 15 is a callback at like, an hour and a half later. Yeah. But when he shouts in whatever language.
Well, before that, why is the bad guy going on the bridge with with them? Like there was no reason.
Zero sense.
He was already surrounded, so there was nothing he could have done on the bridge at that time. So wait for let the other guys just chop him up, whatever. There's no reason for him to go there, but two, there's no reason to bring Willie and Short Round with him. Like that made no sense.
I know.
Right, but whatever language
that's your leverage. Why bring your leverage onto the bridge?
Correct.
Because if something happened to them and they fell through, then Indiana Jones is like, F it, I don't care. I have these stones. I'll toss them no matter what.
And yeah, again, the guy wasn't afraid of him tossing it, but the fact that whatever language that was that Short Round understood, again, he did not seem to panic. All he said was, "Lady, we're going for a ride." Or something like that. Hold on, you're going for a ride.
Leg and got her to like wrap her arm around it.
Okay. However, they wrapped their arms and legs with the smallest piece of like rope that was on that bridge. That I don't think that would have done anything. I would have like wrapped my arm around like whatever. Like I mean, really, like it's like this little rope she was like tying on there. And yeah, this is a great scene. But I love how he hits it once with the sword, and it just looks like it doesn't even do anything. Like there's no way he's cutting through that. Like when he hits it once, it makes it shakes the bridge, but there's nothing nothing. And somehow in two chops, he chops it in half.
And wouldn't the bad guys be like, "Holy shit, he's trying to do something. Why don't we get closer with our daggers,
or let's run?"
Were the bow and arrow guys like taking a nap?
Okay. Well, not for nothing. When they start shooting at him later, they literally shot all around him, and not once did they hit him. They literally
troopers.
They really, worse. I mean, it's almost like they made an outline of his body when he was on the bridge and they missed him completely. So I don't think they would have made a difference. And think about how far away they were. They were so, I think the images in this whole scene was so off. Like I said, when they're on the bridge and you're looking down, it literally looks like a stream that's dried up. Like there's a very little water in there, but when you see the crocodiles in there and later on, it looks like the ocean. Like it looks so massive. It doesn't match. You probably, I don't know if you noticed, you have to see it again.
No, I didn't know. Okay. I was too mesmerized by the crocodiles. Like the fear of seeing a crocodile, like spinning in the water like that is the way it was like twirling and just over and over and over like a barrel. I was like, that's scary.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But how about the line when he says to get ready and she looks over at Indy and she's, "What are you, nuts?" And he goes, "Nuts? He's crazy."
He's crazy, lady. He calls her lady.
God,
Yeah, he always calls her lady. That's so funny. Yeah.
Oh my God. And then they had like a moment on the bridge that reminded me of like Hulk Hogan when Indy and the Chief are like fighting and they're doing the whole like just like they're so tired they're just punching each other.
Yep.
And it's like, "Indy, watch out for your heart." And he like gets ready to cover his heart, but the guy's too quick. And you're like, and that's when I was like, oh my God, he can do this anywhere. Like he can rip out hearts anywhere.
Yeah. But he has to have like the lamest escape way possible. So yeah. So I mean, this whole scene on the broken bridge is also like the fact that the guy slips, I think, twice and he's able to catch onto the bridge. Like he slides down. I like the one when he throws the one guy down at Indy. Like
he's using this guy as as a weapon. He's throwing him at Indy. Yeah.
So funny.
Oh my God.
But
man.
think about in reality, if that really happened, okay, fine. Let's say that could really happen and they land. Do you know how hard it would be to climb up that thing against the rocks? Like, because it's not like it would be like it would be so difficult to climb. First of all, Willie would have no chance. You know, she doesn't look like she's ever gone to a gym ever. So like she's falling in 2 seconds, you know, but like that would be so hard to do. And the fact that they're holding on to one hand, punching each other and like still like just able to just hang on to this thing is ridiculous.
And I love that Indy like somehow channels like what he learned when he drank the blood because he starts like chanting something a little bit and inside the bag lights on fire.
He remembers the chant. He was a zombie when he was a chant. Like so, but you know what? However, I guess he knew he hit short round also maybe. So maybe when you're in that state, you still remember what you're doing. You just can't control it.
He had a good teacher. He
really did have a good teacher.
A chant teacher.
I bet you it was the guy with the crazy mustache. Because he had to have a bigger purpose than just eating at the table.
That would have been great if that was a cut scene and he's like going through the chants and he has like a little chalkboard where he's writing everything down and like a pointer like going through each line. But no, when that starts lighting on fire and they start dropping in and then the guy goes to the Chief grabs one, then that's what like does him in.
Yeah.
Like him
Well, it's like karma, you know, his own, what he wanted the whole time is what did him in. That's it.
And I love the cuts. They do the quick cuts of each crocodile.
Yeah.
And they throw like the clothes next to each one. And like,
you know,
like,
it's funny.
Okay, I know
you don't see the body, but you see them ripping the clothes apart.
Just clothes.
Just the clothes.
The crocodile takes the clothes off real quick, eats them, and then they play with the clothes afterwards, I guess.
I mean, they're not animals. They have to eat. They are animals, but they're not animals. They do just eat
clothes. What do you think we are? But then right from there, he obviously finally climbs up. Oh no! Does he climb up first or
no? They climb up first.
The good guys come right.
Right. Well, the good, as usual, they come right at the last minute, like Commando and everything else. Like they now they show up. They somehow have a timer. All right, is it all done? Because we really don't know what we're doing. So let's wait till it's all done. Then we'll come there like we're saving them. But that's when they're all up there and like, where's Indy? And like, you don't see him yet. And then you see him. And like, he's not in a rush to get up there. Like he's hanging up there. Like he's waving to them. He's like, and he's hanging there. Like, wouldn't you like, after what you just went through, wouldn't you like get off that thing as fast as possible?
Oh. And just lay there. Yeah, but he had to show that the three lines on the stone.
Yeah, yep. That was important. Don't wait till you get up there. Show while you're on there. Imagine he just dropped it. Like after he's like, all right, I'm gonna show you this. And then also he fumbles and he drops it. And now,
chew. Watch it drop. Bloop. Right into a crocodile's mouth. But I do love the bow and arrow guys. Really hung on for a little bit, even though it was like a gun and bow arrow. Some of those guys are getting shot and falling on the ground. And then they finally retreated when they knew, like, yeah, we can't beat these rifles. But I did. You know what? Was it the white guy from the dinner, the British guy that was in charge of that? Because they showed one guy that walked up to Willie, and it kind of looked like that guy at the dinner. But in my head, I'm like, would the guy that was at the dinner be a good guy?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But you know, it would make sense because he's British.
Yeah.
So it would make sense. Maybe he was. So yeah. So Who knows? But I want to know what the Bone Arrow guys are going to do now that their leader's gone. They like what's their purpose?
They just hunt.
They just hunt what? They don't leave. They don't leave that dungeon area. You don't see them. You didn't see them anywhere outside of this part. So, like, I wonder,
is it like vampires? Is it like vampires now? The chief's dead, so are they like not attached? And they go back to normal now.
Maybe. All right. Well, I mean, not for nothing. The mine is destroyed by the water, so that's all gone. So the kids escaped. They have nothing to do.
Well, the kids, in theory, if we go by what the one kid said in the jail when Indy and Short Round were in there, he said once you drink the blood, when you're a slave, like the kids, you drink the blood and then you're in a forever nightmare. So something changed because all those kids didn't get burnt. So they're going back to the village.
Yeah, but they didn't drink the blood, the kids.
Well, according to we didn't see that, but according to the kid, he was saying like, no, the kids, when you drink the blood, you're in a forever.
Yeah, but I don't think not the kid. No, maybe he just meant for Indy or the prince, but the kids never.
Okay.
Yeah, because they were just slaves. You know, I mean, that's a lot. How far is the temple to where they were? Because again, you had about 200 kids that were running the entire time, running back.
I know.
Who had no energy. I mean, really, they were basically dying in that dungeon. Somehow had this burst of energy to come back. So
they're like, we're getting out of here. Time to go home. But that's really then he brings back the rock with 3 lines. Yep. They put it in the place. And then Willie's complaining about wanting to go back to Missouri. How can you get me back to, or then first she says, I want to go to Missouri. And she's like, can you take me to New Delhi? And she's walking away and Indy whips
her
around.
Well, she says, I'm not going with you ever again. I'm not going on any adventures with you.
You think I would go to New Delhi with you?
And that's how he brings her closer. Yeah.
A little kiss. Everybody's watching them kiss. They do a little pan out.
Yep. And that's it.
And that's Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. Jamie, there was a lot to unpack.
That was a lot to unpack.
In a good way, because it's so funny when you think about the scenes. There's really like 5 sets in the movie that we saw, but there was just so much going on in all of them. But so obviously I know you'd recommend this to people to watch.
Without a doubt.
I'm trying to think of a question to ask.
Well, I mean, one thing, like I said, I mean, I used to rank this number 2. I would have to see number 3 again, to really, because I think a lot of this doesn't hold up today, just because, again, I mean, the green screen they use throughout this movie is like ridiculous. Like, I mean, like they use it so much. It's so bad. So I would have to see the third one again to see how that holds up. So I might switch them 2 to 3. I just have to see it again. But you know what? It's still a great movie, whether you've seen Indiana Jones or not. You can see them all separately. They're classics. You know, it's one of the best series, I think, of any movie. You know, I mean, there's a lot of movies, but I would say it's a top 10. You know, easily.
Yeah, he's just so cool. Indiana Jones is so cool.
It's fun. They're
so
fun.
Cool.
They're fun movies. You know, there's a lot of comedy to it, but the action is great. It just, you know, they're great adventure movies, and I think really anybody, any generation can enjoy it if you've never seen it.
Yeah, Short Round alone in this movie, like just what he does as a little kid. Yeah. No fear and just like, I'll do this.
Listen, he does some karate in this movie. At the end of the movie, when he's fighting the guys, you see some karate with him. So I mean, he definitely had another story, and they should have explored that.
Yeah, well, man. So up next, we're doing a movie that when I watched it when I was getting ready to do the interview with our next guest, director, writer, producer Jared Cohn, who's from Long Island, so he's like a tri-state area guy. The movie is Atlantic Rim Resurrection. So he does a lot of the B movies. So he does a lot of films with Asylum Entertainment, and he does now he's like a Tubi original guy. He has a new movie that's on Tubi right now called The Get Back. It stars Dermot Mulroney. Big get for him to be able to have a guy like that. But yeah, that just came out like I think last Saturday or a few Saturdays before. But yeah, a lot of his movies. And this one is kind of cool for a B movie. Some of the things that are in it, obviously Pacific Rim, it's like a inspiration from that. But it was cool to talk about his career because when he was growing up, he really didn't have any ideas of like wanting to like get into acting, but he went to school up in Boston, connected to the guy that said, hey, I wanted to be an actor. So he went out to Hollywood with the dream of acting, but then it all changed. And then he recently just had a book come out. It's called 50 Movies Made, because he's made 50 movies. And I think he's like 40. He's not that much older than I am. So yeah, so he was pretty cool to talk to, like hearing about the world of B movies. And we were talking about like, how do you get to that next level and things you can't do as a B movie. Like once you get to a certain budget, you can't really go lower, because then they'll be like, hey, why'd you do that? Which is kind of terrible when it comes to Hollywood. It's like the way movies look. And when you see this movie, when Jamie watches it, when you guys watch it, it's free on Tubi. It really shot really well, and he gets some solid actors for what his budget could be. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, so don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only, and don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.